said it early.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up, the best damn Kansas City Chiefs podcast in the kingdom.
Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, welcome back. Let me turn up the mic, baby. ACU crew, Chiefs Kingdom, we're back with another live podcast for that ass. Welcome in. It's the Saturday Night Tailgate, Steve.
It is. It's a little bit of a celebration today. A little bit of a celebration. We hit over that 25K a while back, and it's time to acknowledge that.
A little celebratory 25K get together on the heels of the combine. Steve, are we seeing the combine is turning into athletic freaks of nature? This is insane, the amount of...
Mike, I wasn't done giving ourselves a pat on the back. For the 25K.
Let's go back to the pat on the back.
We'll worry about those kids' accomplishments in a minute, but right now...
Let's talk our accomplishments.
we did
Steve,
it. Look, a little
25K, ACU crew have helped us build, and we're going to continue to build and build and build and build and build. 25K is just the first stop. It's took a little while to get to 25K, but in the YouTube space, I tell you something. 25K is not no small feat, to be honest. I didn't think we'd ever get here. Who the world wants to watch us?
I don't know, but I like it. It's good stuff.
The world that we do.
Hey, and like Chief Kelsey says, time's yours. It's ACU's time right now, okay? We'll talk about guys breaking combine records in a second. But
oh, yeah. The combine records on the back burner. That's nothing to 25.
No, for real, though, in all honesty, we appreciate you guys for being subscribed to the channel and for helping get the word out and all the good stuff you guys do, because that's how we were able to grow. But just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you guys, and we appreciate you being subscribed and being and everything else, man.
Party hardy, baby.
Time to party.
If I have something, if I can find something to give away, we may do a giveaway tonight. You know, we might do a nice 25K giveaway.
Let me dig something up out of my pile of stuff over here.
Let me dig something up. You guys want some? You want a half drink prime? I could auction that bad boy.
What kind of prime you got going there, man?
It's the Glowberry. It's been here for about a week and a half. I didn't throw it away. But if anybody wants it, I may auction that off later. I don't know. I've got an Abe Lincoln zombie head here. I could maybe auction off. I got some stuff, baby.
Got some stuff. Hey, just a quick shout out, Kathy Welch with the membership. Appreciate you, Kathy. And then we also got Flapjack with the 2-bomb. Says, man, y'all know you want AD Mitch. We'll talk about that in just a minute, Flapjack. Appreciate the 2, my man. And
appreciate it, brother.
Also have Eric Olson with the membership. Glad you figured that out, Eric. I noticed on mobile, if you're on mobile and you're on the live stream, I don't know where the join button is at either. I couldn't find it. But if you have that trouble, just go to join.allchiefedup.com and it'll take you right where you need to go. So glad you're able to work that out.
Known for being the best.
Well, you know, other people, other channels, you go there and it's like, you will join this channel or your phone will explode in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Dude, do you want to be hacked forever? Join. Yeah, it's funny. They will actually send somebody to your house. They will make you log on and they will click it for you, and then they'll leave. They'll say thank you.
Not us, though. We don't even get a button.
Steve.
What's up?
Combine. The big story of the day was Xavier Worthy. Look.
You're never talking about the combine because we got Ron with the member for a month now. So hope you're doing good, Ron.
Our boy Ron.
Yeah, let's talk about the combine now. So it's cool. So actually, we did some video content earlier today that will get released soon. We did some mock drafts and stuff. And they may or may not still hold up after some of this combine stuff.
They may or may not. I don't know. But, dude, Xavier Worthy, the big story. Everybody's been kind of big on Xavier Worthy. I get it. He's fast. He's exactly what the Chiefs look for. What was it? A 4.22 is what they clocked him at, and then they switched it to the official 4.21.
Officially a 4.21. Lego says you got your cred. I love that episode of South Park, bro. It's so good. Have you seen it?
I've not seen that.
So they're making fun of Prime and how all the kids are obsessed with cred.
Oh yeah.
And it's so funny because they like Matt and Trey have their finger on the pulse of like how things really are in the real world, because I have young kids and I know how they obsess
Right.
over this stuff. So you have to watch it. It's on Paramount, I think. Go
Okay.
watch it. Good stuff, Lego.
I'm a fan of Prime, to be honest. I didn't want to try it until my
Got your
home
cred
signed
there,
on,
buddy.
and now I like it, man. I like it.
You have
Steve.
to have a clear backpack and go to school so you can put your cred in it so everyone knows you have cred.
I guess I'll just take a crap load of these bad boys.
Yeah, but back to
there's a kid up the street though, by the way, and I seen him, and he once tried to make me go to the store and buy him some Primes so he could give them away to his class.
see.
I said, A, I don't even know you, and B, why do I want to buy why do I want to buy Primes for your entire 6th grade class?
When you watch the episode we're talking about, you're going to get it. But anyway, back to football, back to Xavier Worthy. Yeah, official time was a 4.21, so officially the fastest guy to ever run a 40 in the combine, which is insane.
Chris Johnson beat the Chris Johnson.
And John Ross, I think, was there too.
John Ross was pretty close. Did they tie? Were they tied, or did
I'm not
one
for
beat
sure.
the other?
But either way, he beat both of them. Xavier Worthy is the new fastest guy to run at the combine,
Right?
which is insane. And I mean, his draft stock's going to go up big time now.
Yeah,
Speed kills.
I honestly had him and AD Mitchell probably cruising right around that late first round mark. And look, they both. AD Mitchell 143 or a 4.34. I don't know why I said a 143.
He ran a 1.
He ran a 1 second 40-yard dash. 4.34, I think, for AD Mitchell. Dude, Texas put on a show, by the way, because big old Tavondre Sweat, 366 pounds, put in a 5 bomb, baby.
Yeah.
Like, that's some fast fat, baby.
That fat right there.
That fat was.
Can you imagine getting hit by a 368-pound guy running that fast?
I don't want to.
That's rough.
Like, dude, they all put on a pretty good show.
Here's the question
Texas.
everybody wants to know, though. Jeremiah in the house. What's up, brother? He says,
Right.
but can he run routes and catch the ball? So, yeah, a 4.21 speed is great and all, but how does that translate to the field
Right.
with pads on? And also, how does he do with running routes and catching the ball? Mike, do you have that on Xavier Worthy?
Well, that's what I said. To me, he's more of a second round pick. He's a late first, second rounder kind of guy. Probably not late second. I think if you wanted him in the second, you would have had to come up probably into the top 40. But I put him as about a top 40 player. But look, speed kills. Speed is very coveted in this league, and now he's very much in the conversation of a first round. And I think AD Mitchell's in the conversation. And since speed does kill, speed can also kill your draft stock the other way. And our boy Keon Coleman from Florida State had a rough one today. I think he barely outran me at a 4.6. And that bad boy is maybe slipping down into the second round, which could be a blessing in disguise for a team like the Chiefs. What if he just
That's what I was
right
going to say. I'm kind of loving it because I think Keon Coleman, so far, I've dug into the receivers quite a bit. And so far, after the tape that I've watched, I still hold him as maybe one of my top guys.
Right.
I don't care that he ran a 4.6, but maybe everybody else does. And then maybe that'll make him fall to where he needs to be for the Chiefs to snag that guy because he is a beast.
Dude,
he's an athlete. I like him.
This combine has been athletically just insane when it comes to the amount of people that's running a 4.4 better. Like, it's insane. I think there's been almost 34 or 35 40s timed at the gold standard. What's the gold standard always been since we started? Can you run a 4.4 40?
Right.
4.4 40. 35 people beat that this weekend. I'm talking defensive linemen, cornerbacks.
Right.
You almost had a freaking offensive lineman running that. It's insanity, the amount of skill that's coming out and the speed.
Right. Our boy Chris Wright says, as Herm said, cool, you can run a 4.3. Can you play at 4.3?
Look, I will say this. Xavier Worthy looks fast on film. He will separate, but there are times where he gets caught. And if he's supposed to be running a 4.21 or whatever he ran, how's he getting caught by a guy from behind?
By a linebacker?
And again, well, no, he's getting caught by some corners, and you would say angles, but there was a few plays that it was straight line speed he got caught. So
well,
I don't know. Maybe there's times that you just kind of get tired.
I'll tell you this. I watched a lot of tape on him. I watched a lot of tape on AD Mitchell. And it was funny because my preconceived notion was I was going to like Mitchell better than Worthy. But after I've dug into the tape, I felt like I was leaning more towards Worthy anyway. Like I felt like he just had more yak ability. He looked smoother. Like it was just a whole different thing. Like I felt like he fit the Chiefs a little bit better. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm going to still continue to dig into these guys and stuff. So we'll see how that works out. Got the Spoken in the house. What's up? What's up, guys?
Ooh, yeah, there we go.
So I was actually on their live stream earlier today. So after you get done watching this tonight, make sure you scurry on over to the Spoken podcast, and you can catch me and Lance and Trevor having a good conversation over there earlier today. And if you haven't subscribed to the Spoken yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to them.
Subscribe, watch their stuff. Tell them all Chiefed Up sent you. Good friends with Lance. Lance does a lot of good stuff. Lance takes a lot of heat, but it's because Lance doesn't bend the knee. He doesn't kiss the ass. Lance will just tell you, man. He'll tell you. And look, there's times where maybe you don't agree with what he says, and there's times he'll rub you the wrong way, but he's going to stick by it, man. Like, that's a good thing.
I don't get it, though. Like, even talking to him today, there was times where I didn't exactly see eye to eye, and we had those conversations, but I don't feel like, I don't know why people get so worried about it.
Steve, this was breaking news today. You guys exposed the scrambling armchair, and I'm not going to re-expose it. So you will, if you want to know who it is, you have to go back and watch the Spoken just to give them some views and stuff like that.
Simple question. I asked a simple question. That's all. And then just so happened, someone happened to be in the chat. It's like, yeah, that's my friend, and this is his name. So if you would like to know who the scrambling armchair is, get over and watch that live on the Spoken earlier today.
Right. Chief Kelsey says KC Sports Network took Xavier Worthy in their first mock a week ago and took a lot of crap for the pick. Look, I think it's Xavier. I don't know why they would have took crap for it. I think a lot of people's had Xavier Worthy right there with the Chiefs. From everything I'm seeing, everybody's like, oh, that's a Chief guy. Like, that doesn't make sense that they would take crap. I will say, again, I'm not a huge, like, I'm not a firm believer that he's completely a first round lock as in all of his skill set. But dude, you can't teach somebody to track a football, and he tracks it with the best of them. He's a great center fielder. He can make you miss. He obviously has speed. 4.21, you can't teach that one. There's a lot of things he does right, and I don't know why anybody would give him crap, because I've kind of been hearing that hype all week long, Steve, right? Like, everybody's been like, RGR likes Xavier. Apparently RGR and Casey Sports
Ryan liked him.
They got together and had a Xavier Worthy-a-thon.
I mean, I like him too. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think anybody would dislike the pick. Sometimes though, when I hear a pick over and over and over again, such as like if it gets hot and everybody's like Xavier Worthy, and that's all they'll focus on, sometimes that makes me want to go back in and critique the guy and be like, nope, don't think so. So I'm a little guilty of that sometimes. I don't like to fall in line with what people say sometimes.
While everybody's getting horned up about the 40 time, can I just point out a couple things? There's just some guys out here that did not even run close to a 4.4 in the 40. Okay. And I want to bring those guys up, and then I'm going to let you decide if you should hold Keon Coleman accountable for running a 4.6, or if you should get too horned up about Xavier Worthy running a 4.21, because John Ross ran a 4.22 and we all seen what happened to him. But Devontae
John
Adams
Ross couldn't stay
4.56. Devontae Adams was a 4.56. Jerry Rice was a 4.6 or a 4.7. I can't even remember. It was very, very high, like compared to today's standards. I mean, we're talking about, I think it's Kelvin Benjamin. He actually ran a 4.6, and he was good early in his career.
But he fizzled.
Who was it? He did fizzle. AJ Brown wasn't a 4.4 guy. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of good receivers in the league right now, Mike, that have not ran a 4.4 40.
Right. 4.4 is just an attribute.
Larry Fitzgerald.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy is not the route runner of any of the guys you just said. Not even close.
No, that's what I'm saying. But like, you just have to, like you said, it's just one attribute. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, some people hold him as one of the best to ever do it, the best of his era. And he was a 4.63 guy. Anquan Bolden was a 4.71, guys. I mean, you have to think these are guys that were actually really good.
But they're also going to do different things. Xavier Worthy is going to be a gadget guy and somebody that you want to get the ball to in short spaces and different things. And then you've got some of these guys that were, possession receivers. You got some guys that were just blockers and big imposing bodies. They are
Jerry Rice
to do different things.
Jerry Rice was a 4.7 140. Isn't that wild? The GOAT is a 4.7 140.
4.7 140. He come out in 85, and if I'm not mistaken, he was the third wide receiver off the board. I think the Jets took Al Toon from Wisconsin, and I want to say there was another one, Eddie Brown maybe. The Bengals, I think, took Eddie Brown, dude. So Jerry Rice went like 16th to the
Right.
49ers. But you know what Jerry Rice did? Dude, Jerry Rice, by the way, he sucked when he was drafted. I remember when he was drafted, I remember reading reports, not that I was 2 years old, by the way. I'm just saying I remember watching shows and reading things about this. And when he was drafted, he was horrible. He was dropping balls all over camp. They didn't think he was going to be good at all, and then he turned it on. Who does that remind you of? Jamar
Right,
Chase.
exactly.
Remember when he got
Exactly.
drafted and he stunk in the preseason? Everybody's like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
but-
bust.
Yeah, but we all knew that wasn't going to hold up because he was a freak athlete
Right.
too. But I mean, I think Antonio Brown was another one that was on the list. He ran like a 4.56 40 at the combine. Like there's
Right.
a
It's
lot
not
of really good
everything.
receivers.
It's
man.
just, it's a metric that does, they like it. But I'll tell you what, Brian Thomas, big kid. I want to say he's like 6'4". He ran a 4.33 today. I think he helped his stock. Again, AD Mitchell, a 4.34. He helped his stock big time.
Lad McConkey, a 4.39.
Right. That's another sub 4.4. Tez Walker, big kid out of North Carolina I've been talking about. He ran a 4.36. He pushed himself in. Roman Wilson ran a 4.39. He ran a sub 4.4. Dude, Troy Franklin was right there. Xavier Legette run a sub 4.4.
Jacob Cowing.
Yeah. Dude,
Jacob
my
Cowing,
boy
and
Ricky
then,
Pearsall from Florida had a 4.41. I think
Yeah,
he
and who-
solidified himself as a second round pick. So
Rome
Yeah.
Odunze ended up at like a 4.46, but I mean, geez, man, that guy's a monster
Roman
too.
Dunze didn't have to run sub 4.4.
Right.
Dude, here's what I was talking to you earlier. Shout out Eric Olson with a 2-bomb. He said Chiefs met with Lad McConkey.
Yes, they did.
They did. They met with Lad McConkey,
I like that
Xavier
one.
Worthy. Xavier Worthy, that was the other one. And then they met with Troy Franklin from Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
They all
How
three
do-
confirmed.
Out of those three, if you could pick one receiver, are you taking Lad? Because I think I would take Lad.
Lad McConkey is the most skilled route runner. He is the most ready to play day one.
Oh yeah, you could plug and play him.
If you go off physical attributes, well, see, Lad's got a little bit of an injury history. If you go with physical attributes, you may want to take Xavier Worthy. Although he had a broken hand in his career, he's missed some games, but he's tough. He tried to play through it. That was one of the reasons he was dropping the ball a lot in 2022. Nobody knew that, by the way. But I think out of all those, Troy Franklin is the one that just does not impress me as much as a lot of people are big on him.
I watched a lot of his tape too, and I don't even have him. I had Xavier Worthy and AD Mitchell ahead of him.
I'm just not a huge Troy Franklin guy, and I don't know why. It's just
He's
nothing
good,
really
but
pops off the tape at me.
Exactly. Gary Holland says Mike and Steve, the Chiefs need to draft Joe Alt, 6'8", 315.
Boy,
Notre
I would
Dame.
love that, but I
drops
bet
this in draft.
you.
So this is something we talked about on the Spoken
Yeah.
earlier. Lance from the Spoken, he said that he would like to see the Chiefs trade up to around 20, early 20s to draft Joe Alt if he's there. And I was like, man, Lance, I hate to burst your bubble. I don't think Joe Alt's going to be there.
No, Joe Alt's starting to get looked at somewhere around the Chargers, and I bet you the furthest he was to fall is the Jets at 9 or 10. And
the dude's a beast. If he were to be there at 20, you better figure it out.
Joe Alt is the number
Right.
one tackle on my board. He's a swing guy. Did you even know Joe Alt was actually a tight end, Steve? He was a tight end. He was running around. He's that athletic, and he
That's-
switched to
That's
tackle just
wild.
a few years ago.
That's right. Wild, dude.
Dude, he's awesome. But yeah, you've got a lot of tackles. You got J.C. Latham. You got guys like that. So he may get overlooked, and he may fall a few spots, but he's not getting out of the top 20.
Right, Mike, this is to your point earlier, talking about how it just seems like so many guys are athletic freaks these days. Chief Kelsey says 9 wide receivers ran a sub 4.4, the most ever. That's insane how these kids are getting, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And we got a freaking 20 bomb from Gil. What's up, Gil?
Gil with a 20. Dude, that's what I'm talking
Always
about,
good to
Gil.
see Gil dropping in, supporting
Gil
the channel.
rewarding his boys for the 25K, rewarding his boys for
go,
putting in
baby.
that work. Steve, we've been putting in a lot of work this week, man. If you can't tell, our content kind of flipped up a notch right
It's
here.
going to keep going.
And it's going to keep going because draft time is busy season.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, Gil. You're the man. But so you're talking about content and work and everything. Today was my day off work. And I haven't stopped all day, man. I stopped and took a lunch break.
Yeah, we've been going. We've been going early.
You're going.
Steve, Chief Kelsey says Franklin looked bad in the gauntlet drill, didn't run straight line, and kept fighting to catch the ball. Dude, that's exactly what I didn't like when I watched his film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't think he ran crisp routes, and I don't think he caught the ball too cleanly. Like, that was some of the things. And look, some of those drills work. Maybe the straight line speed isn't everything, but when you watch gauntlet drills and you watch those linemen do those bend drills, like, did you see those Did you see those big defensive linemen doing the towel drill where they got to run in the circle and pick the towel and drop the towel, and it shows the bend? Dude, Byron Murphy looks like a monster. Him and Braden Fisk made themselves a lot of money. A lot of money. Jared Williams with a 2-bomb, Steve.
What's up, Jared? Appreciate the 2, my man. He says he likes Brendan Rice from USC, which is the son of Jerry Rice, the GOAT.
Son of a Jerry.
I like Brendan Rice. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I could deal with a little rice baby in the Chiefs.
Are we gonna have a second serving of rice on this team? Is that
I think we could.
Look, we don't need too much carbs, though. I'm telling you, we'll get slow.
No, for real though. I watched a lot of his tape last night. Like I said, I dove into the receivers last night. I took some time out and I was like, I'm just going to start focusing on this position because that's the one that, Chiefs Kingdom is burning up about, right? Like,
oh yeah,
we got to get a receiver. So I was like,
horned up over that.
I really like.
Position.
I had seen a little bit of each one, and I had a preconceived notion of each one, but I dug in deeper last night. And Brendan Rice, to me, he was a lot higher on my list than I thought he would be after I watched his tape. Yeah, I really liked what he hit. And it made me wonder because, Caleb Williams, we could talk about him for a second and how he's a consensus number 1 overall pick. And more teams are leaning into that. Right, Mike? You were talking to me about that earlier.
Yeah.
Some guys that we were.
Yeah. We've got some guys that were in Indy that have been telling us some stories.
Yeah. So,
and it looks like Caleb Williams is like separating himself as the clear-cut number 1 amongst a lot of teams. Like, it's not as close as people think.
Amongst the guys working in the NFL, that's the word is that it's almost he's getting separation there. So it got me thinking though, if he's such a lock and he's supposed to be so great at quarterback, I mean that's great. But everyone knows that good receivers can help with that. Do you think that Brendan Rice is kind of being undervalued to be in an offense like that and be able to, carry, not saying he carries Caleb Williams by any means,
right?
But I mean, for him to be able to show out like he did, he had to have a really good, solid wide receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he had a couple of good guys there to throw to this year. I mean, he had a great one last year who actually went in the first round. So, I mean, he had Jordan Addison there last year.
Right.
The dude knows what. I mean,
and Addison translated very well to the NFL. By the way,
he's got weapons. They run it's pro style. It's a pro style offense. Now, we'll say their defense stunk. Like, they had to score every time they were on the field. Like, you had to. So that's why he would exhaust the down and run around like a chicken with his head cut off half the time and try to make plays because, like, Caleb Williams knew he had to score 40, like, because that defense stunk. But, yeah, that's some of his big – that was one of his knocks with me is, like, I want him to play within the offense, but then the more you think about it, you're like, well, he kind of had to put up a lot of numbers. So maybe that's what he was doing.
A or B with the 5-bomb says, let's effing go. Both of the Texas wide receivers are intriguing to me. Mitchell is slower, quote unquote, but he's freaking 6'2" and 205 pounds, and he ran a 4.38. Is that what he ran?
Who?
Mitchell.
4.34, I believe.
4? Yeah, either way, it's blazing speed for a guy his size. He definitely upped his stock. I don't even know if Adonai Mitchell would be there for the 32nd pick, even if we decided we wanted to do that.
Right. I was thinking maybe Brian Thomas could fall.
Is it Adonai? How does he say his name? AD's better. I'm going with
I call him
AD.
4.34, but look, AD Mitchell, I thought him or Brian Thomas, I thought they were both. AD's probably late first round, and Brian Thomas was about middle of the pack if he ran properly. They both ran properly.
Right.
You want to know what my comp is for AD Mitchell when I watch him? And you may not agree because you said you didn't see nothing. You didn't see his.
I'm going to tell you this. Like, I thought he was good. I thought he solid. He did not, like, impress me. I wasn't, like, blown away by him. No.
Okay, I'm not going to comp him to him, but there are definitely some flashes in some of the balls he caught. I thought he looked a little bit like the guy everybody wanted the year that we drafted Sky Moore. I thought he had a little George Pickens in him.
I could see it.
I thought he had a little George Pickens in him. And I was like, look, you missed on George Pickens. Might you just take this one?
Yeah.
You know?
I doubt it. I don't think it. I don't know. I don't know if he'll even be there, to be quite honest, especially after running that 40 times.
After today, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Diego. Heck yeah, baby. Glad you were able to catch it earlier. Somebody had asked something up through here and I lost it. Oh, well. It's okay. Oh, someone said, I can't find it, but it was Would Jerry Rice want his son to play for the Chiefs?
Maybe not, but do we want Jerry Rice in the room helping the wide receivers? Because if he's one of those vocal dads, I would invite him on the sideline.
Yeah, come on.
Let him give us
Jerry.
some tips.
Come on. And speaking of, we talked about this earlier, Mike. That would be pretty cool. And then you were talking about Luke McCaffrey,
right?
Like another NFL
Put Ed
guy.
McCaffrey and Jerry Rice as the two dads on the sideline. Like they're at the high school football game.
Yeah,
and
they're gonna come. They're gonna come help.
I would like that for sure. Hey, Jared says, can we just pause and everybody hit that like button? Yeah, let's do it.
Go.
Everybody, look, we're going to take a 5-second break. Everybody, if you haven't yet, back out, hit that like button. You don't have to back out of the video. Just take your chat off, click the like.
We need some elevator music for the 5-second pause.
YouTube copyright. We've just hummed something that is very similar to something else. And we've got...
Well, I did, because it was a George Michael song I was just doing.
Oh my gosh. Were you doing the love making song?
Yeah, it was a straight love making tune right there. Now, appreciate you guys for hitting that like button. If you haven't already, go do that. It takes a second. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please go subscribe to the channel. Be part of it. We just hit over the 25K. We got to rocket this thing up to 50K by the end of next year.
Our families are starving to death because these people won't hit the sub button.
Just hit the subscribe button. Jeez.
Watch the video and hit the like. Our families are starving. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
Let's go.
Dude, Steve's careless whispering over here. Can we just, I don't want it.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, but all you guys that have donated so far, you guys are awesome. If you guys can throw some legendaries and catch-ups in the chat for those guys, that'd be awesome. Eric, you danced a little bit there.
Never gonna dance
I bet you just started subconsciously thrusting.
That's the lyrics to Careless Whisper. He's singing it.
I know, Mike. I know.
Hey, Julia says, do you know One Step Beyond?
Well, no, I
don't.
I don't know that.
Chris, 5 gifted. Let's go.
Right in the house.
Catch-ups in the chat for our boy Chris Wright, helping the channel grow, baby. Amy, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it, brother. If you guys get one from Chris, go ahead and give him a thank you and shake his hand. I don't know how. Virtual shake
give him a firm handshake in the chat.
Give him a firm one, baby. Amy says, I did a mock draft today, and Brian Thomas Jr. fell to the Chiefs at 32.
Oof. That'd be a tough one to pass on.
Look, I thought that if he didn't run well, I thought there was a possibility because he's a little raw. But now that he ran that 4.34, I think he's playing it. I don't think he's getting past the old Buffalo. And that's just if he has to. It's Buffalo and A.D. Mitchell and Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
One day. I love the guy on the Buffalo, man.
So that's the thing. Buffalo, especially with Gabe Davis going to be on the outs there, they would definitely try to snag somebody like that, I think.
Oh, yeah. I've got a little tidbit about that one in a second. But first, Enrique with 5 gifted. Let's look at this.
Enrique, what's up, my man?
Our boy Enrique with the 5 gifted. Let's go. If you guys get one from Enrique, make sure you got your gifting on, by the way. Enrique and Chris putting out the 10 gifted very quickly. Still growing the channel.
If you guys are not allowing gifts, you need to hurry up and do that because it's looking like you're going to need that today.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Lego. Lego says, Mike Steve, did everyone survive on that 18-wheeler hanging off the bridge? Dude, yeah, on a serious note, I crossed that bridge every day. That bridge was built a long time ago. It was the first bridge over the Ohio River in Louisville, Kentucky, by the way. It is very narrow. It is dangerous, and I do not like to cross it. Nobody likes to really cross it. Everybody flies across the bridge, and there's no barrier. If you didn't see it, somebody crossed the barrier and a semi hit it, and the semi went barreling over the side of the bridge and was freely hanging from the bridge for like 45 minutes to an hour.
That's so crazy, dude.
Before they could it was a female driver. Like, I don't know if she was unconscious and awoke to just hanging over the edge of a bridge 25 feet above the Ohio River. But the Louisville Fire Department, by the way, excellent job. They propelled down, got her out of there safely. There was a few people in the hospital, and I don't know how they're doing, but they did have to take some people to the hospital for it. But, dude, what a scene. And then they had to shut the bridge down all day today, Steve. The bridge has been shut down. They have to inspect it to make sure it's even available to drive over. And you want to know what sucks about it? They know that bridge in Louisville is a nightmare. They know it's bad. And you know what they do? Every other bridge to get in and out of Louisville is I-65, and they put a toll on it.
Yeah.
Every day they make $1 million off that bridge. And they told us when that was built 5 years ago that we would only toll you for a few days. It's been 5.5 years and they keep raising the tolls, by the way, and they cause people to have to use that rickety old piece of junk. So this hopefully sparks some change and they get rid of that crap. But yeah, I think everybody's good. And if you guys haven't watched that, go to Twitter, man. There's some pictures and stuff on there, man. It's wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty crazy. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it. Lance says that HBT sent me with compliments. Hey, appreciate that. Cole gave us some compliments. Maybe he felt bad because he came into your live stream the other day.
Crashed my live stream.
Crashed you out. He shut your power out in your whole town.
He did. He said, "Here's $5. May God bless you."
Power outage. $5. Boom.
He tricked me.
Hey, may God bless you. And he hit a button in his basement. And he's like,
yeah. He said, "Good luck dealing with this one."
What was his name, Mr. Burns? Excellent. That's what he was doing. That's awesome, man. Diego with the 2-bomb. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I saw a comment earlier, man. Appreciate you watching earlier. If you guys didn't get to catch it, like I said, go over after this live stream, catch that live stream from earlier on the Spoken podcast. We had a pretty good conversation, Mike. We talked about some things me and you had been talking about on previous videos and things like that. Right. So if you didn't get to watch it, Mike, you can go check that out.
Right. I will. I plan on it. I forgot you were on there this morning. You called me and was like, "Hey, man, just got off the Spoken." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot that was today."
Yeah, you ready to get to work, bro?
Yeah, you ready to get to work?
I've been going already. Let's go.
Let's go. Bill says, how many draft picks do the Chiefs have this April? Right now, I believe it's 6. It's 6. But we're going to get some comp picks.
I think it'll be more.
Yeah, we have to get some comps somewhere. I don't know. It's wild. We got to have more. Because I'm a firm believer. Okay, this is what I was alluding to earlier.
Brett likes to move up and down, right. And he's going to want some room to play.
Here's where we were alluding to earlier. So we told you that we've got a few people that we've heard talking. They were at the combine, this and that. It's not Daniel Harms, by the way. I know Daniel was there.
Let's go, Lance.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate you, brother. They were talking about a few things. Number one, they said that there were 2 teams, and this involves the Chiefs. There were 2 teams that a lot of GMs and a lot of people in the NFL space were saying that they expect to be very aggressive and possibly going up to get a wide receiver. The Bills and the Chiefs. So a lot of teams think that the Chiefs and the Bills are going to be aggressive. But after all these 40 times and all these testings, might that just be some smoke? Because I've also seen our boy, Charles Goldman, said that he heard from some people at the combine that the Chiefs may or may not, they're not really sold on taking a wide receiver in round 1, that they would prefer to do the trade up round 2 method, which they're very much known for, which we've been saying this. So we don't know what it is, but a few other things we heard. We heard number 1, that Ryan Poles, his phone is ringing off the hook in Chicago, people trying to get that number 1 spot. And even the Commanders at number 2 are trying to get them to flip the pick so they can take Caleb Williams because he's kind of a hometown kid in the Washington, D.C. area. So it's crazy. And they also said that the boy, Justin Fields.
Let the boy watch.
Let the boy watch. Nobody is really wanting Justin Fields. They're saying
Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me.
They're saying teams are offering like 5th and 6th round picks for that kid. So they're saying if Ryan Poles was to get a 2nd round, he's taking them hands down. Which, Steve, if you need a quarterback, for example, if you're the Patriots, maybe at number 3, would you field an offer and let some team like, say, the Vikings or the Raiders come up to 3 and take maybe the 3rd quarterback, who it may be, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, whichever one, and you fall back, and then maybe you trade a little bit of draft capital, maybe a 3rd round pick, and you could get Justin Fields under his rookie contract for 2 years. Would you take a shot with that? Because maybe you can develop him.
Personally, no. I'm not a fan of Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields is it. I don't think he's ever going to be it.
So you think Drake May or Jaden Daniels at 3 would be just as good or better than Fields?
I would rather take my chances with drafting J.J. McCarthy later, to be quite honest.
That's spicy, baby. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being dead serious. I'm just not sold on Justin Fields. I'm not. He's never showed me anything, and I understand he's not been in the best situation. They don't play for the best team, but that don't mean anything. Like, I mean, look at CJ Stroud. He didn't go into the best situation in the world. He had a bunch of other young guys around him and things like that. He still found a way to produce.
Right. Casey says, grab that running back from Louisville. Steve.
Garindo?
Isaac Garindo. Look, he's from Indiana. He's from Indiana, and I'm pretty
What a
sure he
beast.
went to Wisconsin. His athleticism score, by the way, has scored first at the combine in running backs. He's 6 foot 221. He has 30 and 3/4 quarter arms and hand of 9 1/4 inches. So he is massive. He ran a 4.33 with a 1.55 10-yard split. He jumped 41 and a half vertical, Steve. 41 and a half vertical. They're actually comping him. Lance Zierlein of NFL.com has comped him to Stephen Ridley. Like,
Dang,
you remember
dude.
him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gaining a lot of steam. And Steve, your boy, Ray Davis from Kentucky, he actually ran pretty well today too. He was sub 4.5, I believe.
Yeah, Ray's a good one. I like what he offers you out, like catching the ball out of the backfield as well. And he's just like one of those very confident, very driven players. But yeah, Garindo kind of come up out of nowhere here. But I like what I'm seeing from him. I mean, just the size and the speed.
Right.
Dude,
Garindo
I mean,
looks good. Like U of L, they relied on him a little bit. Like he was good. Steve Ray Davis, by the way, 4.52 is what he ran. So he's right there too. If I went back and looked, did you know that the majority of all the big plays and the majority of yardage by running backs this year, that the average 40 time of those players that were the top of the game in 2023 was only an average of a 4.48 40. So you don't have to be exceptionally fast. 4.48 is about the gold standard right there. So anything between 4.46 and 4.5, you're pretty good. I mean, you're in the wheelhouse.
Chief Kelsey saying the Chiefs have now met with Louisville running back as well, so which was right on point what we were talking about. I think any player that comes out and proves that they're that ridiculous of an athlete, it's always going to spark Brett Veach and Andy Reid. They're going to perk up a little bit when they see something like that because they just love raw talent. Right. They just do.
Right. David says, is that bridge 2 decks one way? No, it is a both way and it's very narrow. Anonymous Mango says, do you think Worthy falls to 32, Steve? If not, would you trade up? I think we do. Mahomes has been big on Worthy since December publicly, and when Pat wants something, Veach usually delivers. I haven't really paid attention to see that Pat's been publicly loving Xavier Worthy, but
I have a couple thoughts about this.
Okay.
I think you say Veach usually delivers when Pat wants something. Maybe in the draft. I mean, he wanted Clyde apparently, but I mean, otherwise he's been leaving them hanging. I mean, did you see our wide receiver room last year? Pat wanted D-Hop.
I don't know if I trust Pat.
After the Clyde pick, I don't know if you listen to Pat. That's another point.
Pat fighting for Rashee Rice though? I don't think Pat had a preference. He said he was fine. Yeah,
he did like him. I would say that Worthy. I think a lot of people are thinking he's going to break into that first round. I still don't think he does. He could. I mean, John Ross was not a top of the first round receiver, but that speed made him that way, right? So I mean, he could. I don't know, Mango. It's yet to be determined if I think he'll be there at 32. If he's not, I don't think the Chiefs trade up for him.
Right. Levon Morris with a 2-bomb says somebody has to fall, or whether it's D or offense.
Right. I mean, whatever value's there, I mean, the Chiefs are going to take it.
Yeah,
they will.
Look, I think there's so many. I think that, if you left the combine today needing a wide receiver like the Chiefs do, and to be honest, who's the biggest names needing the wide receiver? Literally, it's the Chiefs and probably the Bills on the backside.
Yeah.
Don't they have to be pretty pumped? Because I think now you could go away with all this and be like, hey, we're going in the pro day. And to be honest, where we thought we had to trade up to get some big time guy, maybe we can sit and they're just going to fall right in our lap.
Right. We were talking about the speed.
And if you don't get your first one, Steve, aren't they so close together? It's like, well, my 1 and my 4 is like this close.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
What does it
matter? I appreciate the 2, Levon.
Appreciate you, brother.
But yeah, everybody's talking about that speed, man. Pat and Kelsey liked Rashee and Zay. Yeah, I think Quentin, what's his name? Quentin Johnston. He was also out there working out with them as well.
Oh yeah, you're right. Quentin Johnston.
So, I mean, they liked a few of the guys. But anyway, back to what I was saying. A lot of people talking about that top end speed and stuff. Who was the top receiver in the league last year outside of Tyreek Hill?
Who was it?
It was CeeDee Lamb. I'm almost positive. That's another guy that ran over a 4.5 in the combine. So, I mean, yeah, it's very, very hard to pick a receiver off of speed alone. And I think Worthy, if you didn't have Worthy as a first round grade already, I don't think that necessarily changes it unless you had him on the cusp.
You know, that's kind of what I think. But see, I did have him on the cusp. I had him somewhere between my 30th ranked player and my about 45.
Now, like AD Mitchell, a lot of people thought he was a late first rounder. I feel like his speed could make it be more of a mid first rounder.
I think you can adjust them. I think it can adjust a little bit. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to bring up my
right, but it's not going to be. I don't think it'll make it groundbreaking or anything. I mean, there's so many good receivers. This is a very deep wide receiver draft. I think.
If you didn't think he was good enough at his routes and this and that and everything else, speed doesn't help that. If you don't think his hands are good enough, who cares? That just means he runs faster to drop it faster. Like, it's whatever you think. So it's really not anything crazy. We got a 10 ball from Chris Wright, Steve.
Chris Wright, baby.
Our boy Chris. He said the Bears should milk wash and move to 2. Then milk whoever wants Drake May or Jaden Daniel at 2. Get maybe 4 or 5 first rounders if you play it right, Mr. Post. 3 for Caleb and 1 or 2 to move out of the 2-3 QBs left. He could end up moving down to probably 10 or 11, and as long as he stays in front of Denver, he could probably get J.J. McCarthy. And to be honest, the way Michael Penix was slinging it today at the Combine, that kid right there has now moved himself right neck and neck with me for J.J. McCarthy at QB4. I think they're right here. I think they both passed Bo Nix today, Steve. I think Bo Nix hurt himself. Yeah, Bo Nix wasn't throwing at the Combine today. At least I didn't see him. So I think he hurt himself.
Yeah, but I mean, you have like people like Caleb Williams who refuse to do anything at the Combine. That's okay.
But he's got a huge track record. Bo Nix, he played well at Auburn, but he had to get out of there, and then he didn't look very good in the Senior Bowl. So I mean, we'll see. I'm not a great.
I think they could definitely trade back and get they could do this, Chris, right? Like to a certain extent. I really do think they could if they really wanted to.
That's really a good plan, to be honest.
While we're on that subject, I feel like this is a draft where the Chiefs could trade back easily.
Right.
If
Steve,
they
you
wanted
want to
to
guess where I had Xavier Worthy on my big board? He is top 50. Where do you think I put him?
42.
I had him at 46.
Dang. Okay.
And why? I had him as wide receiver 7. I had him as wide receiver 7. Does he now go up?
Where does that change him?
Let's look and see. Let's
not. Let's talk about all that later because we're gonna release those. So for those of you that have not joined at patreon.com/allchieftUp, we're doing a lot of draft content that's going to be going out over there. We'll also be doing big boards, me and Mike. So all the members will get those over there, all kinds of stuff. So patreon.com/allchieftUp, get over there, become a member, a patron, if you will. And yeah, we'll be releasing a lot of stuff over there. So
patron,
you can see the whole
bomb from our boy Iron Price. Steve.
Iron Price with the 20 bomb.
He says, any chance we could grab a backup for Mahomes? Also, can I get a suck it?
Mike, you know, I kind of thought last year they might take a late backup for Mahomes, you know, like I wasn't sold on it completely, but I think was it last year that the dude from Georgia kind of fell? I think he ended up going to the Rams.
Oh,
Stetson Bennett.
Stetson.
I thought someone like that they could definitely take to put in, you know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like with Shane Buechele, like we used him basically, and then we were able to get compensation out of him from the Buffalo.
Right. Look, I thought Keaton Slovis out of BYU today, I thought he threw a good deep ball. I think he threw a great deep ball, by the way. Like, I don't want to say a good one. I think his deep ball looked great today. So could he be a guy that maybe you could take?
We take to his brother so we can try to get him to McCole Hardman, the Dolphins.
Okay. Dude, I like Joe Milton from Tennessee. Did you see him today? Joe Milton, Steve, threw the ball. He dropped back from the 20, threw it from the 13-yard line, and it landed at the opposing 15. He threw the ball literally 80 freaking yards today.
You know what I think about Joe Milton, Mike?
Suck it! Suck it! We got 2 words for you! Suck it!
Why'd you do Joe Milton like that, Steve? That was rude.
I'm sorry, Joe Milton, but it was just that time.
Joe
It could have been
Milton
any.
did nothing.
It didn't matter who you were talking about.
But
They were
look,
getting ready to get that.
But to answer your question, a Joe Milton, a Keaton Slovis, or a Michael Pratt out of Tulane, I wouldn't be opposed to taking them in the 5th or 6th round. I mean, if you can get some comp picks or something and they fall. By the way, Steve, why doesn't Andy Reid and Brett Veach go into the business of just
Farming
that?
QBs.
Farming QBs. Why don't you take every year, you take a QB that's got really good intangibles that you could work with, throw a 4th round flyer pick at them. You say, look, we're going to develop them under Andy Reid. They're going to play behind Patrick Mahomes. They're going to learn how to do it the right way, and we're going to develop them. And every year they take that pick and trade it off for a 2nd round pick.
Well, they could do it with guys that are already in the league that didn't pan out. They could have done it with Trey Lance.
You can still
They
do it.
could have done it with Zach Wilson. They could do it with a lot of these high-end picks that didn't pan out. Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, there's a lot of different guys that I think I don't think they're in the business of wasting their time. They're not in the business of wasting their time on that crap. They don't need to.
Would you throw a 3rd round pick to Ryan Poles for Justin Fields to be a backup to Mahomes for 2 years so that you could get
no, they would never do it.
Maybe
anyway.
flip it off. Maybe
if they think he's worth a 1st rounder, bro. I mean, come on.
But they're not getting the offer, so I'm just saying.
Of course they're not. I wouldn't give my 1st round pick up for Justin Fields either. I just couldn't do it, man.
No.
He hasn't shown me enough.
Steve, Anonymous says, who would be your top 3 picks for wide receiver?
Off the top of my head, like I said, I was digging into tape the other day, so it was kind of like, now, do you want like top 3, I think, on my big board, or top 3, I think that it would be nice?
It's got to be top 3 that we could probably grab. We're not going to be able to get a Roma Dunze or a Malik Neighbors.
Of course.
Or Marvin Harrison Jr. Come on.
Top 3 for the Chiefs, off the top of my head, and like I said, I might miss somebody. I personally like, let's see. I'll go Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, or Malachi Corley.
Good. I was going to say Malachi Corley, and then I will also throw Ladd McConkey on there because I like that he's ready-made.
Yeah.
And speaking of ready-made, running a 4.4, I don't remember what he even ran today, but my boy Ricky Pearsall Jr. out of Florida. Yeah, I like him, baby.
Good one.
He can flat out play the game, and he is smart. He reminds me of Cooper Kupp. The more I watch him, I'm like, Cooper Kupp is my comp. Cooper Kupp comp. Say that 5 times fast. I'm really liking Pearsall, Steve. He may be my sleeper this year. Is he?
I
really
know
a sleeper,
you've been on him early, so we'll see how it pans out. We'll see if you can make him your Puka this year.
Puka.
You hit the nail on the head with that one, though, man. That was wild.
I have a crystal ball.
Do you? Is it telling you who to pick? Because
no, not a crystal ball. I have crystal balls.
Crystal balls, and they help you figure it out.
Well, I mean, if tell me what to do.
If we could just get a lunch with Brett Veach, maybe a little candlelit dinner. I don't know, something. We got to have a nice conversation with this man, and we got to be like,
could you imagine sitting down the Veach in a dark, dimly lit,
with Careless Whisper playing in the background?
Yeah, it's a dimly lit booth at the back of at Q39, and maybe Jack Stack, and nobody knows we're there. You know, we're in such a dark booth, nobody bothers us, and there's candlelight, there's a barbecue, and we're like, Veach, let's talk wide receiver. Let's do it.
Dude, I think you guys in the chat would be okay with that. I think they need to maybe start, considering that all Chiefed Up should probably at least have one meeting a year with Brett Veach and Andy Reid.
Maybe.
Just go get a burger.
Right.
Just shoot the shit with them, Mike. Tell them how it's going to be.
We come up with the idea that we thought it'd be hilarious to just make a video of us going to KC and trying to deliver a hamburger to Andy Reid.
No, not deliver. We want to eat a hamburger with Andy Reid. That's our goal.
Okay.
So, we do whatever we take to make the steps happen to make Andy Reid go eat a hamburger with us.
Right. Bill Major says that Bo Nix threw well today at the combine. I got to watch just a little bit. I didn't see Bo Nix even throwing. I was watching him throw deep balls, and I didn't see nobody throw deep balls. The only ones I've seen throw deep balls was Penix, the kid from Western, the kid from BYU. I didn't see Bo Nix throw the deep ball, so maybe I just missed his portion. I've got it recorded. I'm going back and watching all that tonight, obviously.
TGZ with the 5 bomb says, can we get some disses from Nightbot for the Bengals and the Bills. Here's $5 for the cause. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the support.
Dude, Nightbot always talks trash to them. If you just, throw it out there, he'll talk trash.
Joe Buchanan says Ladd had under 500 yards in 2023. Where's the production at, Mike? And he also says Xavier Leggett, bigger, stronger, and more explosive. I will say I liked Leggett's tape. I do. But when we're talking about longevity, like what does Leggett have besides 1 year to show you what he's done? Like he's got a pretty small sample size. Now I will say that I did like what I saw from Leggett. I do like his tape, but I mean, I feel like it's a bit of a risk because he's only had one year of production. So if you're talking about production,
right? Xavier Leggett, to me, he's one of those. He kind of gives you Alshon Jeffries vibes, and again, South Carolina wide receiver. Go figure.
Yeah,
but he didn't
see that comp.
So the thing about Xavier Leggett to me is, look, he's a good kid. He's a hard worker. He was there for 4 years, 3 years, whatever it was. He could not get on the field with his size, speed, and intangibles. He couldn't get on the field. He couldn't produce. The only way he got on the field was through special teams work. But he kept his head down and he kept going and kept going and kept going. He didn't have a good quarterback. When Spencer Rattler got there this year, he threw him the ball, and this kid worked. Again, I think you want 2 years of production. You would like to see it multiple years to see if it's a trend or if it's a fad. And you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. So it's like, this is the ultimate hit or miss player. You can't really do that in round one. Round one's got to be a sure thing. That's why I've got him around 2. You can't do it. And then when you're talking about Ladd McConkey, where's his production? He injured his ankle this year. He missed a lot of games due to an ankle injury, but it's been healed up. I think he had surgery on it. He came back from it. It's completely fine. But that's it. Ladd McConkey did not play in all the games slotted to him this year. And the good thing about Ladd McConkey is he used to return punts in 2022, and they didn't have him doing that in 2023. He actually said at the combine he wants to get back to doing that. And he's shifty, he's fast, and he's quick. And when you put all that together, that's a dangerous special teamer you got as well. So that makes your draft stock go up. Absolutely.
Maccaberry, glad you could finally catch a live stream. I know we get your comments on the videos all the time, but I'm glad you caught a live stream. What do we got here? I saw another one. Let's see. Yeah, Ladd McConkey, though, while I'm looking for that comment I was just looking for, to me, I just feel like you said earlier, he's like a plug and play type guy. He's ready to go.
Right.
Like, I feel like you don't have to wait a year or two. You don't have to pull a Sky Moore and hope that he pans out, and he might not, or nothing like that. Like, I feel like Ladd's instantly going to contribute to the team.
Yeah. Well, he also had a back injury he was dealing with. He was dealing with a few injuries. But again,
is that a knock though?
No, I don't think so. Thing. Everybody at the combine that reviewed him, and again, you don't get to see medicals. We cannot see medicals, and those are very important. But from all regards, everybody believes that him and Peyton, the linebacker from North Carolina State that had a monstrous day, by the way. What's his last name? I always forget his last name. Peyton, is it Wilson? Peyton Wilson. They think that Ladd and Peyton Wilson's injuries are behind them, that they are not anything to be worried about going forward, and that they are completely taken care of and going forward. That's what we're hearing. So, dude, Ladd McConkey, here's what I think about Ladd McConkey. He's a guy that'll get drafted in the second round, maybe slides into the first round, but I think if he had hit 4 threes, he had a better chance sliding into the first.
He did, 4.39.
Oh, he did hit 4.39 officially.
4.39.
See, they ruled it was 4.4 flat, so they actually took that 10th of a second off. Okay, so with 4.39, teams like the Chiefs are going to be looking at him late. But I still think that if the Chiefs don't take him, I still think he falls into the early part. But he's going to be one of those players that you're going to look back on at the end of the year next year, kind of like Puka, and you're going to say, how in the world did he get out of the first? Like, that kid's too good. Kind of like the Cooper Kupps of the world. He kind of reminds me of him.
Right, exactly. Brent says Steve's really high on Malachi Corley. He's a 3rd or 4th rounder, not good. Let's see. So, Mike, do you think Malachi Corley will be a 3rd or 4th round pick?
No. I think Malachi Corley, did he run this week?
I don't know. Well, my thing with Malachi Corley is I'm not like really high on Malachi Corley. Like, I guess it might come off that way. I just think he'd be a good fit for the Chiefs. And by the good fit for the Chiefs, I'm not even saying from my perspective. I'm just saying overall, Like he
Right.
seems like the type of receiver that they would draft. Like straight up.
Malachi Corley, his knocks, he's only 5'11". Okay, big deal. That's not a big deal. The Chiefs have drafted. Look, we've drafted 5 wide receivers under Brett Veach, and 2 of them are under 5'11", and Cornell Powell was 6 foot, which means he was right there. He's probably tiptoeing. So Malachi Corley can straight up play. Okay, there's just nothing. There's nothing about Malachi Corley that tells me that he would not be good at what he does. He went to the 2024 the Reese's Bowl. It just happened, the Senior Bowl, and he looked great. He had 32 starts over 49 games, and he totaled 3,000 yards and 29 touchdowns. Like, this kid can flat out play, Steve. And the way he's so physical, people compare him to Deebo Samuel. They compare him. I think it's a little lazy of a comparison, but here's the thing. From what I'm hearing a lot of people, yes, from what I'm hearing from a lot of people, he is right now, he is a second-round pick, and some teams say that there's teams at the end of the first round that if they fall in love with him, they would not be opposed to putting some late first round on him. And I would say that's probably the Chiefs. Who would it not be? I'm curious to see if the Chiefs are ever going to meet with him or if they have met with him and we just don't know. We're not privy to it. But no, to me, I could see him fall into the third round if we just get a lot of late wide receiver sliding and you start getting all these guys to start sliding, right? Or say they show up to his pro day and his pro day, he's out of shape and he's just slow. But I don't think you're going to see all that. But that's my thing. I think if everything runs the way he should run and he's smooth at his pro day, second round is the absolute floor for Malachi Corley.
Right there with you, man. I think second round. That's kind of where I've got him graded at. Let's see here. We got a 5 bomb from D Tate. He says Savondre Sweat would be a good pick. 6'4", 365 defensive tackle, and he ran just over a 5-second 40, which is fat, like you said earlier, man. Yep. And Adonai Mitchell has the height over Worthy. That's true too. He's a bigger guy. Speed, obviously, Worthy is faster than everybody else. But what's 0.1 seconds?
Dude,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what's 0.1?
Well, even look, Xavier Worthy runs a 4.21. AD Mitchell runs a 4.34. 0.1. You know, what is that? That's the length of a fingertip, maybe a finger. That's how far. One's passing and the other one's going and passing right afterwards. Not a big deal. Savondre Sweat would be good. He's very funny, by the way, Steve. Remember I was telling you, this dude is like super chill. He was talking to teams and interviewing at the combine, and they were saying he was cracking jokes. He was a little bit late. He was like a bunch of like super late on getting to some of the stuff, and he wasn't weighing in. And the joke around there was that he didn't want to weigh in because he was scared to death that the scale was going to be too bad. They thought he was going to weigh in at like 380 something. They thought, because he refused to weigh in when he was at the Senior Bowl.
Maybe he went on a little low carb diet right before.
Right. So he refused to weigh in earlier. So when he weighed in, he actually weighed in at 366. But they said he was pretty funny. Just everything about him. He's a good dude. He was a good character. And apparently, I think it's Savondre Sweat. No, it's not Savondre Sweat. Never mind. I'm not even going to tell that story because it's not him.
Appreciate the 5, Tate. We got 2 from Flapjack here. He says, you see that ass on Xavier Levitt? That boy's thick.
Yeah.
What are you doing out there, Flapjack? You're supposed to be evaluating the football talent.
Yeah.
Not evaluating the football talent. What are you doing, Flapjack? Appreciate the 2, my man. Brent says Malachi Corley gives me Amari Rogers vibes. For every Deebo Samuel, there are 10 Amari Rogers. Yeah, I mean, it's like that with any pick, right? Like it could always go the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Chiefs, in hindsight, would have never took McCole Hardman in the early second round. They wouldn't trade it up. In hindsight, they probably would have took Sky Moore. But they're going off what they're seeing, and right now, I think Malachi Corley is definitely like falling into that second round grade for me.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, look, if you want to like nitpick a little bit, okay, when he runs some routes, his footwork don't look very good. Okay, big deal. When he runs routes, sometimes he looks for more contact than maybe he should. That's a knock, right? He wasn't asked to do a lot in his route tree there. I mean, they really didn't make him do a lot. But I mean, come on, it's just everybody is just a blank. What can we do and whatever? I just don't think I could be. I'm just not sold that he is a 4th round pick. I'm not. I think he gets himself up into the 2nd round. I really do.
Yeah, right there with you, my man. Man, I seen some funny comments today. You guys,
and of course, that's just this early in the process. We're almost 2 months away. I mean, that could go up or down. As of right now, I feel like he's a 2nd round pick.
I mean, overall, we're talking about receivers. And we're talking about the 1st round pick. What's the chances the Chiefs even take a 1st round receiver? Pretty low, pretty freaking low. Let's be honest here. And then a lot of people talked about them trading up into the 1st round to get a receiver. Don't you think if they were going to do that, they would have done what everybody expected them to do when Jamison Williams was coming out? Like, right. That was the big hype then, too, is the Chiefs are going to trade up and get Jamison Williams.
Yeah, look, Malachi Corley is picking up a lot of steam, by the way. This was just released yesterday. I know you can't see what I'm looking at, but ESPN's Matt Miller, the draft analyst, Matt Miller from ESPN, actually just put Malachi Corley in his top 50 prospects at number 48. He cracked the top 50. So again, huge. I'm not the only one thinking Malachi Corley. Like, other guys are starting to be hot on him.
Yep. Joe Buchanan says Keon Coleman doesn't fit what the Chiefs asked their receivers to do. I'm right there with you 100%. I think so too. I think if they wanted to go with Coleman, I would be happy about it. They would have to switch up a little bit of what they do, or he would have to switch up a little bit of what he's doing. He doesn't exactly fit the mold, but I just feel like, man, he's so good. He's so good. But totally agree with you, Joe. So that's why I was asking, my favorite receivers out of the draft are not maybe the same ones that I think the Chiefs are going to take.
Steve, do you like Brandon's idea? He wants to trade back.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. This would be a prime draft for the Chiefs to do that. There's going to be a lot of really good talent left at the end of the 1st round. Like, we keep seeing J.J. McCarthy's might be there, Bo Nix, some of those guys. There's still teams that are going to need a quarterback, and those are still, by all means, guys that are going to be decent quarterbacks or could be. So, I mean, definitely this is a draft you could trade back and still get a lot of talent in the 2nd round. We're talking about guys like Xavier Leggett. We're talking about Malachi Corley, Luke McCaffrey, Brendan Rice. There's all these names that could still be really good receivers, and they're going to be available in the 2nd round. So, I mean, this could definitely be a draft where the Chiefs trade back. They haven't done it in a minute. They haven't traded back in a while.
Look, I think it's smart. If you think about it, if you draft 1st round and 2nd round, just by falling back into the 2nd round, you save almost $2 million on a contract. In a year where you're penny pinching, not only are you giving yourself more draft capital, but you're saving money doing it. And really, what you can pick at pick 32 or what you can pick at pick 35, is it that drastic of a difference? Even if it's your number, even if your receiver goes off the board at 32, it's so deep. How different is he from the 35? You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I totally get it. I see this funny comment from Julia Gooley. I got to click it real quick. I'm messing with my headphones. The time Mike was on the local news promoting ACU and the girlfriend with the Super Bowl prediction. So that was the year before this one. So
yeah, it was the first Super
Bowl. It was
Bowl.
Not last camp, but the camp before that. And yeah, man, Kayla actually did predict. She guaranteed the Chiefs would win the Super Bowl. And boy, was she right. She
guaranteed it right there on national TV.
In front of Jesus and everybody.
Local TV, I guess.
Yeah, that was so funny. We were there doing our thing, and I think I had went to pee.
Yeah, you was like, I got to go pee, man.
I come back out of the nasty, hot, stinky porta potty. I've come running out of there trying to catch my breath, and there's Mike and Kayla just talking to a news anchor, and I was like, what's happening?
Was it KSHB? Was that who it was? I don't even remember who it was. But yeah, they asked, and they just asked me what I did. I was like, dude, I'm part of ACU, bro. You don't know who I am? Like, let me interview you.
Yep. So Gary was asking if we'd be interested in Rice or McCaffrey. Yeah, I think we're interested in both of them somewhat. I think they're both going to be good players. We were joking earlier, Gary, about how their dads could be like the high school football dads, because we could take some advice from those guys. I'd be okay with our receivers getting some advice from Jerry Rice.
Advice from Rice.
Rice and Rice advice.
Also, Luke McCaffrey played at Rice. Look at that. We got so much Rice connection. It's insane.
Bill Major with the 10 bomb. He says Devontae Walker looked good today in the drills.
Tez Walker.
I'll tell you where I'm at with Devontae Walker. Devontae rhymes with Marquez, and they slightly make me think of each other.
They look, yeah, it's pretty
and
similar.
It scares me a little bit, but I do think that he would be a better. He would turn out to be better. I believe. I do think so.
I like Tez Walker. He's one of the first ones I actually looked into when I started. He was the first wide receiver I scouted in this scout season. Steve, remember me telling you that?
I do remember that. Yeah,
I was like, he's the first guy I did. Who did I compare him to? I said he kind of reminds me a little bit of like an Alec Pierce.
Yeah. That's exactly who you said.
You know what? Lance Zierlein come out with his comparison. Alec Pierce.
You didn't say Alec Pierce. You're like, who was the white boy that the
right?
Colts
I didn't even
drafted?
remember his name. I was like,
what was his name? I was like, Pierce.
Alec Pierce. But look,
he was a Cincinnati Bearcat.
Yeah, and look, I've seen a lot of MVS. He's a little shorter. I think MVS is 6'4", right? Tez Walker's only 6'1.5", but he looks bigger. He's only 193. I'm pretty sure now that might be about what MVS is. But dude, Tez Walker scored very well at the combine today. His total score was 7th overall with wide receivers, and his athleticism score, not schism. The athleticism score was an 89, which made him the 5th overall wide receiver. He had a 4.36 40, a 1.54 10-yard split, a 40.5-inch vertical, and over 11-foot 2-inch broad jump. So the dude can play. Okay, I'm pretty sure he played at Toledo back in the day, and he looked really good. He's actually played at 2 or 3 different places, and because of COVID in 2020, they didn't want to let him play. And actually, when he got to North Carolina, the NCAA was like, hey, you can't play. You've transferred too much. And Mac Brown, or I don't know, who was it? Might have been Mac Brown, the dude that used to coach Texas. He come out and he ripped the NCAA. So they let him play. And if you look at his production this year, he didn't start a game until the 5th game in, and he had like 800 receiving yards. So, I mean, he can play.
Yep. Iron Price says, need some ACU crew merch. We're family. Hey, you know what? He's not the only one that needs it. All you guys need some ACU merch. So get over to ACU. Nope. Let's take that back. It's merch.allchiefedup.com. Merch.allchiefedup.com and grab you some merchandise. The free shipping ended at the end of February, but we'll probably be coming out with another promo code soon, so keep your eyes on that. But yeah, man, grab you some merchandise. Here's a quick look at a few things we got there, but just ignore the promo code because that ended at the end of February. But merch.allchiefedup.com. I know you want that Sneed McDuffie 24 shirt, and I know you want that back-to-back shirt.
You have to get it before McDuffie goes out of town, though.
Yeah, that back-to-back shirt's where it's at, though. I'm telling you, that thing's sweet. Kansas City Strong shirts, if you'd like to get one of those, all those proceeds are going straight to KC Strong Foundation. So, yeah, get over there and get you some merchandise. Iron Price, good call on that one. We try to get this picture off the screen here. Here we go.
Yeah. Steve, what do you think? Okay, look, if Veach can somehow weasel out.
What's he weaseling?
Let's just say he weasels out, say, the Arizona Cardinals 2nd round pick for Sneed. And now you have 32, and you've got probably, what would that be, like 32 and 35, 32 and 36, something like that?
Probably.
Do you take one of those and trade them up and try to get higher, or do you package both of those and maybe try to get into the top 15? Or would you just kind of sit still and maybe even trade your 32 out and just keep loading up in the 2nd round and beyond? Because this seems to be very talented pool of wide receivers. But I think at this rate, you could maybe get yourself up in the 1st round and get yourself that left tackle we've been wanting and still be able to snag
That's a possibility
in the 2nd round.
So if you wanted to go after a tackle, then I would suggest trading up. I also think that if they were able to do that and they have 2 picks right at the end of the 1st round, early 2nd round, they could do something reminiscent to when they picked, got Trent McDuffie and got George Karlaftis and just hit boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like 2 huge players. So, I don't know. I'm all for. I saw where somebody had asked earlier. It might have been Gary. He was asking if we think they're going to keep Sneed or tag and trade him. Of course, they tagged him. I think they're going to trade him. I do. I just don't see how they can pay him. He's going to want too much money, and he deserves too much money. Sneed earned everything he's going to get. But I don't think the Chiefs are in a position to pay a cornerback, and they rarely do that anyway. So I think they trade him, get a second. If they could get a 2nd rounder from Arizona, like something that high in the 2nd round for Sneed, you jump on it. Absolutely. Right. Because it opens you up, right? Gives you options. Like you said, you can trade up into the first round. You can still take a first round pick and trade back and get more second round compensation. I mean, there's a lot of different things that Brett Veach can do. Brett Veach is a wizard when he has draft capital.
Yeah.
You know, we've all seen it. So lots of different options there, man. But I really don't know. It just really depends on what they're looking to get. Like, do you think we've talked about, do you think they even want to get a receiver early? Do they have their eyes on defensive interior? Do they have their eyes on edge rusher? Like, there's so many ways this could go. Now, I think we'll see. I was talking to Lance and Trevor earlier about how defensive insider or edge rusher, like defensive line as a whole. Like, I feel like you might get an idea for where they want to draft them if they were to cut Omenihu pre-draft. If they decide to cut Omenihu because he's not going to play next year, pretty much, and he's a $7 million, I think they could save.
Yep.
If they decide to go that route and they do it pre-draft, then they might be looking at defensive line earlier than you think.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's been rumored Robinson from Mizzou.
Right, Darius Robinson. Is that his name? Darius what's the guy's name?
You're right.
Robinson?
Yeah. It's rumored that...
I'm not so bad with names. Have you guys ever noticed I'm terrible with names? Like, I know who I'm talking about, but I'm only get one of their names right.
Well, I was doing that too, because when you start jumping into this, you realize there's about 500 names that you have to learn quickly.
I'm bad about it anyway.
You learn your names, you got to know your position, you got to know what you run, you got to know who you played for, who this. It's insane. Like,
I think I called L'Jarius Sneed Willie Sneed for like the first year or two he was a Chief.
Willie Sneed. Willie Sneed was a wide receiver, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rashee Rice ran a 4.51, didn't he? Yes, 100%. Chief Kelsey says Devontae Walker didn't look good in the Shrine Bowl or whatever. Looked good at the combine though. Yeah, it was the Reese's Senior Bowl. He was a big loser. Big loser.
What a loser.
Dude, he dropped a ton of balls.
Like, how are you just going to call a guy a loser? Devontae Walker is a loser, bro.
Dude, people thought before the Senior Bowl, Tez Walker was going to slide into the first. If I'm not mistaken, there was a guy even had the Chiefs taking him at 32. And he went to the Senior Bowl, man, and just flat out stunk. He dropped everything. And look, when you do, he's got a good speed, but he's not the greatest route runner, and he didn't even run a good route tree at North Carolina. Like, he was not asked to do much, but just go deep. We're going to throw it up. And then in the Senior Bowl, Bo Nix got him on a flea flicker, and he dropped that. That was the only pass he had thrown to him, and he drops it. So he has to work on his hands, but I know he can catch the ball. He caught it before he came to North Carolina. He made a lot of good plays. But, yeah, you're right, Chief Kelsey. He stunk.
Back-to-back Chief Kelsey comments, because I saw this and I wanted to address that. Eagles and Packers are mocked to take cornerbacks with their first-round picks, 27, 24-ish. Do you think that they could possibly squeeze a first-round pick out of Sneed? Like, I'm under the assumption that you're not getting a first-rounder for Sneed. I just don't think he would garner that. But what Chief Kelsey's saying makes a lot of sense, because they've been kind of – I think the Eagles are definitely in on Sneed, on the Sneed sweepstakes.
So which one's 27 and which one's 24? The Packers have to be 27, right? They went further in the playoffs, correct?
Right. Yeah, I think so.
So it would be the 24th pick. Would the Packers give up the 24th pick? Maybe. I think you lost your ability to get Quinyon Mitchell. He had a heck of a showing today after a beautiful Senior Bowl. So Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, he proved that he's worthy of a first-round pick. Kool-Aid McKinstry, that was one that they were mocking there, but he's got a foot injury, and they're saying that now he's going to have surgery.
Yeah. That guy's going to be a beast, though.
Yeah, that may have mocked him out of the first round. So maybe you do just be like, look, we'll give you number 24, and we'll take him. I don't think they will. But the Packers at 27, that's a possibility. The Packers would like the way Sneed plays. They like the Jair Alexander type, the run your mouth, the grabby, the handsy, the beat up. You know who I think would be a perfect, if he wouldn't have tested so horribly at the combine yesterday or the day before, Enos Rakestraw from Missouri. Mm-hmm. He models his game after none other than Jair Alexander from U of L. He even said it in some of his sit down one-on-one interviews.
You know, I noticed something. Yeah, I noticed something. For Kentucky to be a basketball state, they've been putting out some good football players in the last, say, 10 years?
Well, Louisville was
some
a
good
big
players,
deal.
Man.
with the Lamar Jackson era, they put out a lot of pretty good players. Kentucky's starting to catch up to it.
Yeah,
especially
there's some guys out there too. I mean,
Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen.
That was kind of where it started.
I thought a really underrated receiver a year or two ago was Wan'Dale Robinson.
Right.
Can you imagine if the Chiefs would have got their hands on a Wan'Dale Robinson?
They've got two that could be coming out next year, wide receiver. Dane Key. That is a big boy. Dane
And
Key
then
can flat
what's
out
the
play.
little fast guys?
Barry and Brown.
Yeah,
that dude can flat out fly. And if you want to talk about somebody do special teams, that dude returned a kickoff for a touchdown in like 4 straight games. He is a monster.
Stephen James with the 2 bombs says, have a good night, y'all. Have a good night, Steve-O. Glad you hung out with us. Appreciate the support, my man. Y'all throw some legendaries in the chat for Steve-O. He is a legend.
For sure.
Destiny says, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
Yeah. Destiny says, I'm late. I was picking up Rasheed Rice's rookie card. What? That's cool.
I'll take one.
Now, you know, I thought about getting back into card collecting. When we were kids, Mike.
Me too. I actually had that thought yesterday.
No, I want to.
Or something.
I want to, but I'm like, man, maybe I don't need something else to waste money on.
Money. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, but at the same time, like when we were kids, we were like avid card collectors, and I enjoyed it. I did, and it's just something to do. It's fun. I thought about getting back into it, so I'm still considering it. It's still
what we should do.
I don't have time for hobbies though. That's the thing.
We should have one live a month on here,
like a box opening,
where we just go get a box and just open them and see what we pull on the live stream, and then we can even give away certain cards to people or whatever.
I'm down with it. I'm thinking about getting back into it. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it, but I would like to get back into collecting some. You know, it'd be fun.
Charlie says, so assuming we could get another late first rounder for Sneed, how far could we get up there packing those together, top 10? If you could pack up, let's just say 27. Let's say Green Bay give us 27. So if you had 27 and 32, you could package both of those up and get into the top probably 14, I would think. 14 to 15. That would be about your sweet spot. You would think you could get top 10. You may be able to get somebody like the Bears. I think they've got 2 first rounders. They've got a number 9, don't they? Still, or number 9 or a 10?
Yeah.
I don't remember which one it is. But maybe Ron Poles would do it just to pick up more firsts, especially if he moves out of that number 1 slot. I don't know. But
absolutely.
I don't know if there's anybody I'd want to give both of those picks up for, though. Would you?
Yeah.
Brock Bowers, maybe?
Yeah. If you wanted to go that route, yeah, sure. If you could somehow get Malik Neighbors with those 2 picks, I would be okay with that too. So speaking of polls, though, you said Ryan Poles, and it made me think, let's close this poll out that we had going. We had 237 votes, so appreciate you guys voting on the poll. 36% think AD Mitchell would be more intriguing Texas Longhorn wide receiver. 63% Xavier Worthy. So I think that 40 time really just sold people. But, you know, the 40 times actually put me more onto AD Mitchell.
Right, because AD Mitchell had more ball skill. AD Mitchell had better routes.
And I wasn't expecting him to run a 4.3.
And a 4.34 is big for that guy.
Shout out Xavier Worthy, though, because he called his shot. He told us he was going to run a 4.2, and he ran a 4.2. So, I mean, I think when I look at
but dude,
speed,
AD Mitchell at 6'2", 205.
That surprised me, man.
That's Rasheed Rice. He's taller than Rasheed Rice. And he weighs, does he weigh more than Rasheed Rice? Rasheed Rice weighs 204. He's a pound heavier.
Look at Karth, baby. Using the big brain. If we open the cards on air, you can use them to write off. We're gonna write off them cards, brother.
Let's go.
Federal government. They're little. They have satellites out there zooming in on us. Zip, zip.
Oh yeah.
Zoop.
Now that we put it on air, they're gonna get you. Hey, Elgin says, Steve, do y'all think we wasted a first rounder on Felix last year? What do you think?
I think it's yet to be determined.
Yeah, I don't think we can call that one. I think you got with defensive like ends, edges. If you're not picking them up top, if they're not top 10s or top 15s, I think you got to give them at least three years to develop. Especially as deep as we were last year, he didn't get a big opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. First of all, Felix had all the tools coming out of college to be a good edge rusher.
Oh yeah.
Is there a ways to go? Was it a bit of a project pick, sort of? Well, like I didn't think he was going to step in first day and be killer.
This may burst some bubbles because there's a lot of people wanting Darius Robinson.
Right.
Felix was a more polished pass rusher coming out, and you see how he struggled. So with
But
Darius
did he
Robinson
struggle,
running
or
a
did he just not
4.95,
have the reps?
he's not the most explosive guy. Yeah, I mean, Felix, didn't he make a big play in the Super Bowl? He
Yeah,
made a
dude.
big play.
Someone called that too. We actually talked about it before that, and they're like Felix is going to make some plays in the Super Bowl, and sure enough, man. Like I remember when the play happened, I was like, "Who was that?" And Pops was like, "That was Felix," and I was like, "Someone called this. Someone predicted the future."
Yeah. Well, I remember we had actually did a video saying, "Hey, if Felix gets the call up and he has to put in the time in the Super Bowl," I felt comfortable with it for some reason.
I tell you what, Elgin, I will revisit this question after next season. That's when I'll probably try to make my determination on that. If Felix takes a big step up this year, gets significant playing time, and even plays as well as, say, George Karlaftis did in his rookie season, then it's still yet to be determined. If he comes out next year and still doesn't produce, I think we can go ahead and say
Mike Dana, let's say he goes to free agency, he don't come back. Dana's out.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's probably
Okay. BJ Thompson, Felix are your starters to open the season over there, because Omenahue's either getting cut or he's still coming back from the ACL. Are you comfortable starting either of those guys, Felix or BJ Thompson, are you comfortable starting them for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 games of the season?
If they lock up Chris Jones, then yeah, I'll deal. I think I could do it. If they were to lose Chris Jones, then I think you're gonna have to hit the oh shit button. You gotta hit the panic button. Like, we gotta start finding some pass rushers because it's gonna be a whole different ball game without Chris Jones in the middle. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think if with George on the left side,
right,
Chris Jones in there who also kicks out sometimes, I'd be okay with it. I think it'd be worth a shot.
Do you really want Chris Jones kicking out to an edge with George on obvious pass rush downs, knowing that our inside is kind of weak too? We have no defensive tackles because Turk's gone.
It depends on how it plays out, man.
Right.
I think they got to get some vets back.
We're all getting horned up about the draft, but we got to remember
a lot of guys to sign.
Look, today is the 2nd. Today's the 2nd. When we sleep tonight, we'll get up tomorrow and it'll be the 3rd. You're 10 days away from the opening of free agency. We're that close. We're 2 months from the draft.
Man,
we're 10 days from free agency.
It's ready to hit the fan.
Yeah, because Brett Veach, we know what he's going to do. He's going to go ape.
Dude, this is going to pick up so fast, dude. Like, it's going to go from 0 to 100 quick.
Kathy asked, do you think Charles O's gone? I'd cut him. I think he's gone. If it were me, if I were Brett Veach, I think I'd cut him.
This was something else we talked about on the Spoken this morning. I said, I really threw Lance for a loop when I said that I think he's going to get cut. Like, he was just thought I was, like, he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And it's like, I don't 100% think he's going to get cut. I'm kind of on the fence, but I am leaning towards.
I don't know what Brett Veach will do, but if I were Brett Veach, I'd cut him. I'd rather save the money, and then I'd be like, look, we can re-sign. We can re-sign and rework a deal, but it makes more sense for me to cut you this offseason. And if you don't want to work out a good contract, well, good luck coming back from an ACL injury after crying about a contract.
Exactly. Right there, right on cue. Ray was saying Charles O is whining too much for my liking. Me too. I think he's hurting himself big time by playing victim and crying and stuff. I'm not a big fan. But yeah, I think they could cut him too. $7 million. And I'm up here with Brandon. He says you have to see what Felix has at that point. You can't let FAU just sit. I think, yeah, man, like you were saying, do you trust it? Do you trust it? I don't know if I trust it or not, but we drafted the guy in the first round, and it's like, hey, get out here and do it or don't. If you're not going to do it,
if you can go pick up, I'm fine with letting Felix start. If you go pick up a guy like AJ Epinesa, if you go pick up one of those that you can just be, and he's a nice rotational piece, and you can let him play some, cool. I'm fine with it. I'm also fine if they want to go out and spend some big money at edge and just say, hey, we'll let him learn and sit behind him for a year or two more and just let him develop completely. And that, you know what I'm saying? I'm fine with either way with Felix, but I am more uncomfortable with just turning Felix loose and saying, hey, it's yours. Like, I just don't think he's proven enough just yet.
I think, like, even if they keep Charles Omenahue, they're still going to have to let Felix loose because he's not going to play most of the year.
Who, Charles Omenahue?
Yeah. So, I mean, either way.
Oh, sorry. You said Felix. So I
Either
was
way,
just confused.
no, I said you have to let Felix loose.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant you
Like,
gotta.
No,
okay,
you have to let
I
him
got you.
play. You have to get out there because, I mean, even if they don't cut Charles Omenihu and they decide, because Charles Omenihu had a lot of production in limited time last year. Let's not get that twisted.
Oh no, he played well.
Yeah, he was double-digit sacks in 7 games or something.
Right,
like
but
that.
you had to eat a 6-game penalty, and you're eating more than that this year off that injury, more than likely.
Right, so he's going to effectively at the end of next season, he's going to have missed more games than he's played for the Chiefs
with a pretty decent contract, and he's still crying about it.
So I think either way, we're going to see probably a more healthy dose of FAU next year. Because I mean, they spent a first-round pick on him. It's do or die. It's sink or swim at some point.
Hindsight is 20/20 always.
Right.
But if you want to say, did the Chiefs miss last year picking him?
Sam Laporta.
If you would have took Sam Laporta, yeah, they did. They missed Sam Laporta. Now, did you miss? Is it because Felix just stinks? I'm not willing to say that. I'm just saying that Sam Laporta would have been a beautiful pick. We wouldn't even have been looking at the Theo Johnsons
a lot
of the world
of
this
Chiefs
year.
Kingdom out there, and I want to give you guys credit. A lot of you guys were on to Sam Laporta and wanted him.
Right.
And they passed.
I think it was Brenda Pike, Kathy Welch. One of them.
There was a lot of people.
One of our ladies in the chat was really big on Sam Laporta.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Well, we even talked about it. We were like, where are our regional scouts? Like, you could throw a rock and hit Iowa Stadium. Where's our scouts at? Like, how did we miss Sam Laporta?
I love this comment. Aaron Price coming in with the gold here. He says, unfortunately, Charles is going to have to suck it. So, I mean, we might as well give it to him one time.
Suck it! Suck it! We got 2 words for you! Suck it!
I've watched that clip a bunch of times. I just now noticed that Clyde was in the background, just like creeping at him and being like, he was like, what in the world? He didn't do it. He was just watching him and like,
suck it! Suck it! We got 2 words for you! Suck it!
He's just like, what are y'all doing?
I was like, what the hell's going on over here?
Dude.
Plus, you have to remember, Clyde was probably not born when that was a thing.
You think? Oh, yeah, probably not.
He's early 20s, dude.
Would Kelsey have been born when that was a thing? He would have been like 8 probably when that was huge. I guess.
Well, I think like DX came out because you have to think the end of elementary school, my middle school, that's when the kids that were 10, 11, and 12 were running around with shirts that said suck it on it. Okay. I remember when it became a thing at school to where if you wore your DX shirt, you had to turn it inside out because you couldn't walk around the hallways telling everybody to suck it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we were like, I was about 11, maybe 12 at the time.
They banned DX shirts. They banned Stone Cold shirts for a while. They banned Marilyn Manson t-shirts.
Yeah, they banned a lot of stuff back then, man. It was like, you know what? You can't wear that in here.
Hey, man, they were burning books and banning and hanging witches out at the stake. What the heck?
Just right when I was 11 or 12, man.
Dude, we're putting the witches on the stake.
The witch's titty.
Yeah.
It's colder than a witch's titty. Speaking of, and then I turned the heat on in here because it was freezing down here. Now I'm burning up.
Now you're burning. Now you're hotter. Now you're hotter than a witch's titty. If that's even a thing. Man,
yeah. Everybody says it's making them feel old in the chat. No kidding, man. It doesn't make me feel old to think that like Clyde probably didn't watch DX. He was too little. He might not have been born when they came around.
Yeah.
That's
it's
wild.
Crazy.
Dude.
Steve, well, look, we got a few minutes left, but let's look at the combine as a whole. First, let's just answer Bill's question because he threw up a 2-bomb.
Bill Major with the 2-bomb.
And Bill, when Bill throws out a 2-bomb, when anybody throws out a bomb, we're gonna get right to it. He says, "What do you think about Jermaine Burton round 2?" Steve, you talked about Jermaine Burton.
What did I tell you about him?
What did you think about it?
I thought he's one of the best route runners in the draft that I've watched so far.
Okay.
He don't do anything special. I don't think he's crazy. He's going to be low key. But I thought as a route runner, Jermaine Burton was one of my top as far as just pure route running. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that, Bill.
Did you see what he ran today? He ran a 4.45.
Nice. That's pretty good.
So not bad. He actually ended up being a 9th overall in athleticism testing. So not too bad combine.
Would you be mad at Jermaine Burton in the second round?
No. He kind of gives me vibes of, say, let me see. Who's that little wide receiver that everybody always traded for all the time? kind of like a Brandon Cook, kind of like a bad Brandon Cook.
Cook.
Like he's a little further down. Or who's that other one that used to play for Miami? Remember, he would drop balls every once in a while, but he was fast, dude. They'd send him deep all the time. Kenny Stills? Kenny Stills?
Oh yeah.
Kind of reminds me of him or something. But
Really, I didn't get that vibe. But I don't know.
Really?
We'll have to watch more tape on Jermaine Burton. But yeah, I appreciate the 2, Bill. And then we got a 2 from Flapjack. He says, if you ran a 40, what would your time be? I'm willing to bet that I couldn't beat Patrick Mahomes' 40.
Wow.
And they make fun of it all the time.
Who was the slowest 40 of the draft? Was it Tavondre Sweat?
Tom Brady, if you want to go like
old we're going everybody. 40-yard dash. The slowest one ran this week was
6 seconds, probably.
Tavondre Sweat, 5.27. Could you beat that, or would you be dead last? 5.27.
He might get me, bro. I don't know if I could run a 5.27.
When I remember timing in high school.
Yeah, well, that's different though. Like I grew from like
Right.
5'9", 5'10" to like 6'3" in a year. Like at the end of high school, you know, so it's
when
like
I timed in high school as an offensive lineman, as a guard / tackle, I actually timed at 5. I want to say 5.1, like 5.17 or something like that.
It was actually pretty good. You had pretty good short bursts of speed, actually.
But as right now, no, I'd be lucky to hit 6 seconds probably, bro. I'd break my back just.
And then we'd be trying to catch our breath for 30 minutes after the 40-yard dash,
bro. Like, you know, they get in the stands and they get down there and they like fiddle. I couldn't even get out of it. I would just roll forward. I would just be like, blum, blum, blum.
Julia Gilia says her time would be death flat.
Yeah, straight
pretty
up,
much,
dude.
Pretty much. That's where we're at.
Dude, I'd make Patrick Mahomes look like freaking Tyreek Hill by the time it was over with. Imagine the simulcast, you know, where they're putting you, they line
maybe
you up
that's
with
it. Maybe if we do our 40 times and we make it public, maybe the NFL draft can spare Patrick Mahomes and start putting us beside guys running slow.
Yeah, but nobody knows or cares about us. You want to know what's funny? They used Mahomes again today. They compared him with Xavier Worthy. Mahomes wasn't even in the frame at the 40-yard mark.
Of course.
He was gone. He was out.
Hey, Brandon Chester says, put Chris Jones behind me. That's the only way I can come close to a 5.27. 100%. Is that with his balls out, though? If Chris Jones' balls are out, I'm running a 4.5.
I'm going 4.21, baby. I'm maybe going to beat everything.
If you turned around and saw Chris Jones running behind you full speed with his nuts just slapping around, and he had that look in his eye, Mike. He had that look in his eye.
What's the look for, though?
Yeah, you don't know. That's the thing. You have no idea what the look's for.
I may trip over the schlong, though. I don't know.
So go.
I don't know if I could. I just couldn't do it. Look,
point,
I would die. Chris Jones would kill me. Like whatever he's gonna do.
You don't know what's gonna happen if he gets you to the ground.
Dude,
you gotta go.
Dude, he is literally running with 3 legs. Like I can't. I'm getting caught with that.
It sounds like a horse in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I'm just hearing this in the background. You ready?
Yeah, that's all you hear.
It's like, my God, I gotta run.
Hey, feet and penis just smacking the ground, bro.
I'm like, what? What is this? Why is there a giant anaconda coming after me, bro? I don't even know what's up. I can't do it.
Okay, we gotta stop. We gotta stop here. We got a 10 bomb from Flip. What's up, Flip? I haven't seen you in a while, man. I hope you're doing good. He says, would you rather keep CJ or Sneed? If you keep CJ, you only have 1 or 2 years of his prime left at most. Beginning of the season, I thought we looked pretty good without CJ, and only having solid cornerbacks and linebackers. Thoughts? All right, so it's no secret what my thoughts are. Flip.
Yeah, I think we're both Chris Jones.
I think it's 100% Chris Jones. I think that Chris Jones is Chris Jones is just one of those guys you don't see very often. The last guy that does things Chris Jones does was Aaron Donald. Before that, who'd you have? Like, you don't, that's how often you see a talent like Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones probably has 4 good years left of top talent. Like top Chris Jones. What do you think? He's 30 now?
Yeah.
He'll be 31. I think we can at least get a good 3 years out of the man. I was thinking an $85 million deal with Chris Jones for 3 years, guarantee most of it. Maybe we can get it done, and I would be fine with that. I think the thing with Sneed is he's going to cost way too much for the position that he plays, according to the Chiefs. And I just don't see it. And we can get some compensation out of him. Did we look okay without Chris Jones for the first couple games, I suppose the defense looked okay.
It was one game.
But if you noticed, Sneed, he actually, like, his first game of the year, everybody was like, man, Sneed's missing tackles. What's Sneed doing? Is his knee messing with him?
Sneed didn't look good against Detroit, and he kind of looked he turned it on a little bit versus Jacksonville. Then after that, he was just lights out.
Well, there's a reason why, man. Chris Jones.
Right. I think Chris Jones helped him.
Chris Jones does so many things for that defense that people don't know. Like, it's not on paper. It's not on the stat sheet. But I guarantee you George Karlaftis wouldn't be who he is without Chris Jones. I don't think Sneed or McDuffie would be who they are without Chris Jones. Not saying they wouldn't be good, but I mean, he takes so much. I'm not saying they wouldn't be good. That's not a hot take. I know. I'm just saying that he pushed them over the top because these quarterbacks have way less time.
Yeah.
Like they're covering guys for way less time because of a wrecking ball in the middle like Chris Jones. Like, you have to account for him. He's getting double, triple teamed. I'm all the way Chris Jones on this one because I think Sneed is way more replaceable. And I think that McDuffie can kind of slide over. Josh Williams is going to be a beast. Y'all don't sleep on Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think we get Najee Johnson back this year. I think he looked good. And Nick Jones, we drafted him the 7th last year. He didn't get to play hardly this year. I think we're fine with it. Would I like to keep Sneed? I really would. But it's just not the nature of the game anymore. You can't pay everybody. And I feel like defensive line. Look, Sneed is not a top 5 player in the NFL. Chris Jones is. Top 10.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, though, and the 10 flip. It's a great question. That's a great conversation to have. I mean, that's the one I had with Lance earlier, man. This is like a hot topic with the Chiefs fan base. It's like, which one would you rather go? Because we pretty much know they're not going to be able to do
what's
both.
Your chances? What's your chances? We think they're going to go after Chris Jones first. Like, we think that's going. But do you think what's your idea that you think they could get Sneed done too? Like, what would you give the percentage they could get both of them done?
Just real quick, I want you guys to throw some emojis in the chat for Flip for the 10 bomb. But in the light of Chris Jones, let's make it some eggplants. Throw some eggplants in the chat for Flip, baby, for the 10 bomb. Let's go.
Don't throw eggplants in the chat.
Oh, but to answer your question, what's the chances they can do both? I think it went up significantly when the league raised the cap by $30 million.
Okay.
Right? But I think it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, same. Denise says, with a 5 bomb, she says, you guys are funny. That's debatable. People make fun of Patrick Mahomes' dad bod. That dad bod kicked their butts. Yeah, what are they talking about? Like, do you think all NFL quarterbacks just have, like, chiseled up, like, 6-packs and stuff? Like, that's
it's funny because, I mean, by all means, he does not have a dad bod. Like, they don't know what dad bod is if they think Patrick Mahomes has a dad bod.
I think that they've lost touch with reality.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't get it. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, I understand the joke, but, like, what are we talking about?
I guess it depends, you know.
But either way, I'm with
if you're a dad,
he still kicked their butt.
If you're a dad on, like, say, the West Coast in California where they nibble around on salads 24/7, I guess that the guy that ate, he ate one hamburger a week and he's got a little bit of dad bod going. I guess that's the California dad bod. If you've been around Kentucky in the South, dad bod's now looking like Tavondre Sweat.
Right here, baby. Right here.
Like, you be killing for Patrick Mahomes' body. Bro, it's not even funny. If you can put Chris Jones' slong on Patrick Mahomes' body, that's perfect human.
I'll tell you this.
That's a specimen right there.
I'll tell you, I don't know about all that, bro. I don't want to get that far into it. I don't know why that went right over my head for a second, but I don't like it. I was going to say it slapped me right in the face, but
if you said that, bro, we're demonetized.
No, I was going to say Patrick Mahomes, like, I would rather my quarterback look like Patrick Mahomes than, say, Jaden Daniel coming out. He's a stick figure. He looks like you drew him on a piece of paper with sticks and a circle for a head. Like, I would rather my quarterback look like they had some mass to them, like, than to be like the little stick figure running around, you know?
Yeah. No. Hey, Julie Gillia said 25K by training camp. We're there. We got it. We beat it.
Yeah. Hey, we already beat that goal,
Julia. We got it. Thanks. I appreciate it. She's setting the bar low for a bunch of idiots. Okay. She knows what's up.
Man, good times. I like hanging out with you guys. Oh my God,
I just scrolled the chat and I've seen so many eggplants and I hate it.
Flapjack's so much. Just going to town, son. You're welcome, Mike. You're welcome. Speaking of camp, it's just crazy how their football never stops. It never sleeps. Like literally, we just won the freaking Super Bowl. Can't even soak that all the way up. And all of a sudden it's combine time. And then we got free agencies kicking off in a week or two. Then we're looking at draft. And then we're looking at the OTAs, the rookie camp.
It never quits, Steve.
It's never going to stop.
It's never set up for people like me and you to have rest in life.
We don't get a break.
We don't get rest. It's constantly like the weekend. I'm like, can I sleep in a little later? No, nay.
Mm-hmm.
Steve's up having some conversation with Lance. I'm up trying to catch up on stuff. And then we record 15 videos before we go live. We had a 5-minute Mexican break. That's what we had.
We did have some
Steve,
Mexican cuisine today.
Totally forgot to get a copy of the receipt today, by the way.
Oh, come on.
Doesn't digital receipts work in the year 2023 at this point? Sure.
Do you have a digital one?
I mean, can't you just go into your bank account? We'll print that out.
I don't think that's going to work, son. Flip with another 5 bomb. Appreciate you, Flip. He says, but let's say we have no CJ.
Flip is really not wanting Chris Jones.
QB can sit back all day with no one open. Let's have 2 promising cornerbacks, solid linebackers who can blanket receivers. Easy dub. Well, here's the problem, man. I feel like coverage sacks are way more rare than vice versa. Like,
right.
It takes a lot. And here's the thing. Could like Sneed and McDuffie do that? Yeah, I think they can. But how long is that going to last throughout a game before one of them misses a step? How many times have you seen McDuffie or somebody lose their footing and get beat? There's just so much that can happen. But when CJ's in there, taking a pure, probably an average of a second off a quarterback's time in the pocket, it covers up a lot of things. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I do think they're capable of it, but I just don't know if there's any longevity to that. I don't know if that can last a whole game, if it can last multiple games. That's a lot to put in, because I feel like if you're not getting pressure on the quarterback in the NFL, you're losing.
This is all I'll say. What's the premier position that everybody drafts every year?
Pass rush.
Edge. Quarterback and edge. Those are your 2. If that was the case, you'd be seeing 25 corners go in the top 50 picks. That just doesn't play out like that. That's just not.
I guess my question back to you, Flip, and once again, appreciate the super chats. If you want to throw your answer in the comments, we'll get to it. I'll keep an eye for it. But like, what positive, or like, what are you gaining from keeping Sneed instead of Chris Jones? Like, do you think we're going to get more compensation for Chris Jones? Is it the money thing? Like, why would you opt to go that route? I guess is what I want to know. Like, to me, it's just way more downside on the let's keep Sneed and let Chris Jones
walk. Doesn't it
walk.
feel like the way the Chiefs
very
are
risky?
Built, the way the Chiefs are built, we have no defensive lineman on contract right now, except for George Karlaftis, Felix, Isaiah Buggs on a future, Neil Farrell, BJ Thompson, Felix. I may have already said
we have an embarrassment of riches in quarterback,
and Charles Omenihu, who's injured. And then at corner, we are super, super, super deep. We're built at corner, right?
And also, are we not the best team in the league at
drafting and developing
corners? I mean, just go right before Sneed, and we had Travarius Ward.
Steve, I've got a guy right now in the draft that I think that is L'Jarius Sneed made over. I told him about him the other day.
Yeah,
TJ Tampa. TJ Tampa out of Iowa State, I think, could come in and play L'Jarius Sneed's role to a T. Maybe not year 1, but L'Jarius Sneed wasn't great year 1.
Right.
It's taken him now 4 years to develop.
I think he flashed in year 1, and we thought, hey, this guy could be good. Right. And then it panned out. But I mean, if you look back at like I was saying, Travarius Ward, everyone hated Ward early in his career with the Chiefs. They said he sucked. He was busting coverage. They didn't want him on the team. Everybody's trying to run him out of town. And then by the time he got to the end of his contract, it was, man, he's shut down. And then he got paid. That's exactly what's going to happen with Sneed. I think it's just smarter to try to develop the corners we have. Like I was saying earlier, I think people sleeping on Josh Williams. To me, he fits the mold of a guy that they can develop into a Sneed or Travarius Ward or something like that.
I'll say this about Josh Williams too. He really likes football, and he's really a student of the game.
Yeah.
And I think Trent McDuffie's actually been a help for him.
Mm-hmm.
As in like a guy that will teach him. And I think they're both. Trent McDuffie's a huge student of the game. So for me, we are so weak at defensive tackle. If you get rid of Chris Jones, you have more money to do what? Go get more help at defensive tackle? Like, I don't know.
Right, yeah, that's my thing too. Flip says longevity with Sneed looks more promising than CJ to him, who barely got a double-digit sack. Karlaftis is the next big thing. Keep our edge rushers and DBs and we'll be okay, in my opinion. Well, earlier we were talking about this, Flip. I don't know if you got to catch it or not. I don't think George Karlaftis is George Karlaftis without Chris Jones beside him. You have to think, like I said, you can't look at the stat sheet and determine the value of Chris Jones because Chris Jones does so many things that don't show up on paper. He's taken double and triple teams every freaking snap. Like there's so much attention on Chris Jones that it's allowing George Karlaftis to look like he's the next big thing. It's allowing our DBs to look like they're completely locked down, shut down 100% of the game because they're covering for less time. I just think there's so much to it. And I think if you pulled CJ out, I think it would be one of those situations where you don't know what you got until it's gone. Like all of a sudden the defense looks a little different and you're like, what is missing? What's the deal? These corners were way better last year. George Karlaftis is in double-digit sacks this year. What's going on? I think that's kind of what would happen if Chris Jones wasn't there holding the glue together.
Yeah, for sure. Iron Price with the 2.
You don't hold glue together. He would be the glue holding it together.
Yeah,
how about that?
Iron Price with the 2. He says, Dorsey let Justin Houston walk. It happens. You can't hang on to everybody. So you got to pick your poison. I understand the people that say, well, Sneed's younger. You know, like let's keep Sneed for longer. We can replace.
Also,
but again,
corner, man. How many corners? That's another thing. Corners kind of fizzle out way before defensive tackles. I mean, honestly, can you name a very many corners that were like game breakers past 29, 30?
No, remember even Richard Sherman got really crappy at the end of his career.
Darrelle Revis kind of.
If you remember, Darrelle Revis didn't play that very well. Ty Law didn't look good at the end of his career. You just see that happen a lot. Like Sneed could come out and look, the game keeps ever evolving
right
into a pass happy league and just whatever else.
Oh, so, yeah, I just want to put this out there. This is no knock on Sneed. Sneed is him. Sneed's a beast.
Sneed's good, but again, we can't have great at every position. Like at some point you have to develop, you have to use the draft. And in my opinion, Brett Veach is better at drafting corners and developing them than developing defensive linemen.
Is Sneed the best cornerback that the Chiefs have ever had?
In history?
Yeah.
Dude, Marcus Peters in his prime was really good. Now, I know he was a big mouth and he was a kind of a hothead and an idiot. But, boy, his ball skills and stuff are second to none.
Is Chris Jones the best defensive tackle that the Chiefs have ever had?
Probably.
Yes.
If you want to go back to like Curly Culp.
Yes.
But still, I think Chris Jones is better.
Right. Like, that's my thing. It's just so much more replaceable, like, for a corner than the defensive tackle. Like, Chris Jones is on another level. He's a freak. Like, you don't get guys like him every day. You can develop a corner into a L'Jarius Sneed, but you cannot develop just a good defensive tackle into Chris Jones. You just can't do it.
I would just be very curious. Like, even if you look at the defensive tackles, like at the combine, Steve, did you see anybody at the combine that looked like they had the movement ability and whatever Chris Jones brings? Like, I just didn't see it. Right? Like you had Braden.
No, 100% agree.
No, you had Braden Fisk and Byron Murphy who proved that they did the best. But when you look at them, they're just too small. They're not as big as Chris Jones. They're not as dominant as Chris Jones. None of them have anywhere near 34-inch arms. You know, Chris Jones just throwing people around like crazy. So I don't know. I think it's tougher because even last year, who was like Kalijah Cansey, he turned out to be pretty good, right? I mean, he was still that little guy. He's kind of like the Johnny Newton out of Illinois this year.
Well, I mean, who did they think out of last year was going to be close to Chris Jones? Mozzie Smith. What did he do last year? Nothing.
Right. Well, the kid from Georgia was pretty good.
Oh,
the one that got in trouble and fell down the board.
Yeah. I forgot his name. But I know, yeah.
But still, are we picking in the top 10? Like, is that
exactly?
Probably...
I still don't think you hit very many Chris Jones even in the top 10 of the drafts. You just don't.
Yeah, I think it's tough. This year, I mean, if you got to look at defensive tackle, I thought there was a few that kind of remind me of Chris Jones a little bit. I think Jaden Crumedy, who's also from Mississippi State, kind of reminds me of Chris Jones a little bit.
Crotchety.
Yeah, I think Gabe Hall out of Baylor kind of has some Chris Jones vibes to him. And I think Leonard Taylor out of Miami's got a little bit of Chris Jones vibes to him as well. He's a little smaller, I think. But, yeah, it's just tough to find a guy like Chris Jones.
Derek
tough.
Thomas was not a defensive tackle Chiefs fan.
Right.
Man, it's like, I mean, if you're just going by pass rush, then sure. But that's kind of obvious. Man, just there's so many different ways that all this could go. Like, would it surprise you? Like, I would honestly be almost mind boggled, like just completely blown away if they decide to go Sneed over Chris Jones. I'd be like, it would surprise the hell out of me.
Look, if you have to, though, like say, for example, they just cannot work nothing out with Chris Jones.
I think
and he's
will.
like, look, I'm taking 30 mil or I'm walking. And then they're just like, look, okay, you got to go. Well, I think then you have to sign Sneed. I think you'd want Sneed over anybody else. But what would happen, though, Steve, in your opinion, if Jones says can't do it and then somebody offers a trade and they give Sneed money and you end up losing both of them in the same year? Is that recoverable? Like, could the Chiefs recover from that this year if they was to lose both?
I think you come more recovering from losing Sneed than Chris Jones. If you lose both, then you got a hole to fill. You got to figure something out.
You're in trouble.
You got to figure something out.
Better get it together, man.
Ray had a comment here. He said, I guess Xavier Worthy is the new Cheetah. And the only reason I brought this up is because the Cheetah is a good comparison to what I'm talking about with Chris Jones. Like, you can have all the 4-2 guys in the world in the draft. I mean, you've seen John Ross and a handful of other guys running the 4-3. They even tried to bring McCole Hardman in here because he ran fast. They've tried to replace Tyreek Hill over and over again. But even when they have a guy that has his measurables, they can't replace him. Why? Because Cheetah's generational. Chris Jones is that on the defensive side of the ball.
Steve,
no matter who you bring in, it's going to be really hard to find a Chris Jones.
This has nothing to do with Ray Ray's comment, and I'm sorry, Ray.
But
I had this moment of clarity in my head that could be insanity.
He had an epiphany.
What if you trade Sneed for the 27th pick for the Green Bay Packers, right?
If. That's a big if.
It's a big if, but let's say it happens.
Okay.
Let's say maybe we even give them like a 6th-round pick next year or something. Like
right.
we give them Sneed and a 6 next year for the first round.
Right.
Would you be willing to trade number 27 and number 32 to the Vikings for Jay Jetta? Would you do that?
Whoa.
That's 2 first-rounders very late in the game, but you get Jay Jetta, and let's just say you can make the contract work, because I get it. People's going to say you can't afford it.
Why must you bring up things like this?
But would that not be an idea?
That's an idea, but do you think they would even go for it? I feel like the Vikings are just kind of like, no, that's mine. Get away.
2 first-round picks, though? I mean, come on.
Very intriguing.
They do need some quarterback help, so they could take those first-round picks, and then they could go up from 11 to 3.
15 first-round wide receivers and not have a Jay Jetta.
That's true.
So what I'm saying, you have to be careful with some of these guys and trading them for first-round picks because it sounds great, and first-round picks are very valuable.
Knox says Jay Jetta would demand 3 first-rounders.
Hey, Julia says the league would never allow it. They'll veto it. They'll come in. They will Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul them.
Yeah.
Like, nope, they're not going to play together.
I'm telling you, though, I would consider that. Because, look, is Minnesota going to get back Kirk Cousins? I think they definitely want to get back Kirk Cousins, but don't you have to draft one anyway? Are you drafting one at 11?
Nah, I don't.
J.J. McCarthy? But see, if you get 2 first-rounders for J.J., now you can take 11 and one of those first and get up to number 3 and get yourself a Jaden Daniels. You can get yourself a Drake May. I think it's brilliant. I think
they have Jordan Addison in
right. I think they'd listen to it.
Lewis Cutbirth says I'd trade Jones for Justin Jefferson. Oof, I don't know about that. Like you almost have to consider it.
Look, I'd honestly consider that.
You have
That's
to
not
consider
the worst.
You have to consider it, but gosh, what a gut punch! I'm telling you, if you get Chris Jones off this team,
the league would never allow it again. No, look,
Chris
Jones
like
that would suck to lose, but losing a 30-year-old Chris Jones for Jay Jetta at that point, I don't know. I'd almost be considering that one. But again, that's a big hole to fill. But then couldn't you go grab Justin Matabuke off of or Christian Wilkins? Actually, you're probably not going to be able to afford him if you got to sign Jay Jetta.
Exactly. That's another whole problem there.
We'll just be drafted.
So Forward says people are always gassing up wide receivers. We're not moving up to pick a wide receiver. No way. I'm on the same page as Four Wedge. I think
Very
this happens all the
possible.
time. I said earlier, the Chiefs were rumored heavily to be moving up in the draft and taking Jameson Williams.
Right.
Were they not?
Yeah.
He even wore a red suit to the draft because he even had himself believing that the Chiefs were going to trade up and take him. And then when he got drafted by the Lions, he looked like he was going to throw up. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like he literally looked like he was going to throw up and pass out when he realized he was on the line. So like, I think like no matter how much hype there is for Wedge, you're right. It's probably not going to happen. I doubt if they even said at 32, I doubt they take a wide receiver in the first round. Like they could very well because it's definitely a need, but
right.
I don't expect it either. Honestly, I'd probably be kind of surprised if they take a wide receiver in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've read reports. Charles Goldman come out and said he's talked to people at the draft, and I've heard that the Chiefs and the Bills may be aggressive at getting up, but Charles Goldman also heard that they would prefer to just go up in the second round and
there's a lot of receivers in this draft. So I mean, if you're going to take a stab at one, why take it early? Because there's guys like we have people in this chat right now that think Xavier Leggett is better than Worthy or this or that. Like if they think that this guy down here is just as good or better, they're going to get the same production. Then why would they take the first round guy? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it could go a bunch of different ways. Right. We got a 5-bomb from Bill. He says, Nehemiah Pritchett at 32. Mike, what you think?
Nehemiah Pritchett, he come out of Auburn, correct? He ran a good time. I think he ran a 4.35, 4.36 today. I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't want to be wrong. I've watched a little bit of film on him, not a lot. He's tall. He's lanky. I mean, he does okay. I mean, he's fine. I think he's a day two. Like he's intriguing day two. I think 32 is a little rich at this point, but he did run himself really high. So maybe he gets to the top of day two. I mean, he's okay. He can match receiver. He can match receivers pretty well, and I think he takes good angles. So I mean, yeah.
Right? Do you think he could be effective early to enough to like soften the blow of losing a Sneed? Do you think he's even needed with someone like Josh Williams waiting raring to go?
I don't think you're needed, and to be honest, I think I still take TJ Tampa out of Iowa State over Nehemiah Pritchett. I think I'm there. Again, TJ Tampa did not run at the combine. He didn't go to the combine, I don't think. But I'm just a big TJ Tampa fan. Because why? That dude will hit you and he will knock you out. He reminds me a little bit. Do you know when Sneed come out? He was listed as a safety. He wasn't even listed as a corner.
Right. Of course.
And when he come out, one of Sneed's knocks was that he was not a good tackler. He wouldn't step up and help you in the run game. And then look at how that's changed in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get a guy like TJ Tampa that will light you up right now, what does he look like in 4 years? Maybe he goes the opposite way and he don't want to touch nobody. Right. He don't want to mess up those nice, pretty hands.
So we got Casey fan here, been a member for 1 month. He says, hey, Mike and Steve, I'd trade Sneed and a couple first rounders for JJ. What do you think? So we just talked about that. Wow. Do you trade 2 first rounders for JJ? Like, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, you would say you would. He's worth it. But at the same time, you put yourself in a predicament because all of a sudden I got to pay a buttload of money.
I got to pay a guy that says, quote, I want to break the bank.
Yeah, that's just, they didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill $30 million. Steve, I don't think they want to pay anybody $30 million.
You know what that is, Steve? It's like you get a date with the hottest chick you've ever seen, right? Like, who's the hottest chick you ever grew up seeing? Kelly Kapowski. Steve, you get a date as a teenager with Kelly Kapowski, and she orders the lobster, and you only had $20 in your pocket because you thought you guys were going to McDonald's.
You got yourself in a predicament.
What do you do? Like, do you want to get the Kelly Kapowski? Do you want to get JJ, the pretty one?
You were going to In-N-Out Burger, and you end up at the.
Hey, you thought you were going to Long John Silver's, my boy, and you end up at the King Crab or something.
Yeah.
What is up? We can't afford it. I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty. Would like
awesome.
to look at it.
It's got us horned up.
Yeah, I'm horned up about it, but I can't pay for it.
Our pocketbook's not as big as anyway, he says, love you guys and your work in the community. Appreciate you, my man. I appreciate
you, Casey fan. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
for real.
Thanks for being a member.
Dean says he's just gonna dine and dash, baby.
Dine and dash.
Hey, that's what we'd have to do we'd have to give up all that for Jay Jetta, and then we'd have to dash on him after a season.
Carr says he loves Jefferson, but he'd rather pay Mike Evans and save the draft picks. That's a thought.
I mean, I'm
right there with him, kind of.
To me, honestly, Mike Evans is the one guy that if you throw on our team, I think he instantly produces, he instantly changes the game.
100%.
And I believe, like, at that point, boom, put us back
100%.
in the AFC Championship game minimum.
100%. I'm right there with you. I think he's the only guy that you can pay big money to right now, and I feel 100% positive he's going to make a change.
Steve, Bruce, ask about your boy.
Yeah, so Bruce, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Keon Coleman, is he a perfect fit for the Chiefs? No. Could he fit with the Chiefs? Yeah, I think he could definitely be a weapon for the Chiefs. I think he's a great receiver. I think he's a way better athlete than people are probably thinking right now because he ran a 4.6, and everybody goes by that 40 time. But go watch the tape on the guy. He pops off the page at you. Like, to me, he popped off more to me than a lot of the other guys we've talked about in the first round, Mike. Like, when I watch his tape, I'm like, damn, this guy, he's got
Coleman is big. There's no doubt about it. He's 6'3", 213. He swamps. He's 3 inches taller than Rashee Rice, and he weighs 10 pounds more.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a big dude.
So the question was, is he a good fit for the Chiefs? According to what the Chiefs have drafted in the past, no, they don't really act like they know what to do with guys like him.
Exactly.
But I think Rashee Rice might have changed the game a little bit for Andy Reid. Andy realized he had to adapt this year, and he did so, made Rashee Rice a force at the end of the year, and that took us to a Super Bowl because he opened Travis Kelce back up. He opened our offense back up.
Right.
So I think Andy can evolve. So I think if they could get their hands on a guy like Keon Coleman that can do that type of thing, I think they can figure it out. And I think Patrick Mahomes would love to have a guy like that.
Right. He's big. He's strong.
And he's going to catch the ball.
Dude, he's got soft hands. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's going to catch the ball.
Not only soft hands, but he's catching in traffic too.
He's a great
catches.
He's
pulling some Odell Beckham catches. He'll just catch it with one hand and rip it down like it's nothing.
He's a great run blocker. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 in this league. In my opinion, he's a wide receiver 2.
I think he could be.
I mean, he's borderline.
I'm
just saying, like, he's kind of like the T. Higgins. Is T. Higgins technically a wide receiver 1? I don't know. We'll see when he demands
But he's got the ability, right? Like, I think T. Higgins does, and I think the same thing with Keon Coleman. They definitely could do it. Will they do it?
Dude, I've seen, look, there's people big on him. I've seen people comping him to, like, Drake London, who was a top 10 pick. I've heard that. I don't see it.
What, you don't? Like, that's crazy. Dude, I'm telling you.
I'm just not a huge fan.
It's funny. If you go watch his tape, though, it's kind of like, I don't know if this is a great comparison, but I think you'll get what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like with Nico Remigio, like everyone saw like his RAS score and stuff, and they instantly was like, man, ugh. Like, this guy's not an athlete. This guy's not this.
Who
He's
was
not
on
that.
Nico, though?
Right, but when you watch this tape, was he electric? Did he make plays?
Yeah.
Did he look? That's what Keon Coleman is for me. Like, he's the guy that's making the plays, man. Like, he's just a beast on tape.
No, 100% you're right. I just don't think his route running was crisp, and I think he relied on his size a little too much. Like, it's almost invited.
They all said that about Rashee Rice, though.
Right.
That was the big knock for Rashee Rice, was that he relied on his jump ball.
Keon Coleman almost relies on the fact that he can just out jump you, and he's bigger than you are. So he's like, I don't have to run routes very crisply. Let's you know.
Oh, I mean, he might prove
Keon Coleman. No,
he could prove to you that he doesn't have to.
At
you know?
4'6", at a 4'6" at his size, it's not the worst, by the way. Again, it was the second slowest. I think the kid from Illinois actually run lower than he did, so he didn't finish with the worst.
Right, but we spent 10 minutes earlier today talking about receivers that are immaculate in this league that ran 4.5, 4.6, 4.7.
4.7, Jerry Rice.
Right.
So he runs faster than him. Is he going to be a route runner like Jerry Rice? I don't think so. But the thing is that's a blessing in disguise for the Chiefs. Can you now do something different at 32 and you don't have to trade up? And now maybe you can trade up in the second round and grab him.
This was our point earlier, and right on time.
Right.
Brandon Chester, wonder if he can drop and we could get him in the second round. That was my thing. It's like Keon Coleman running a 4.6 40 doesn't change my mind about the football player he is, but it could knock his stock down enough to where we could make a play at him in the second round. Brett Veach is no stranger to trading up in the second round to grab a wide receiver. Right. If someone with Keon Coleman's ability is there around the time that George Pick and Sky Moore was in like the year before last draft, like, do you think he trades up and takes a shot on the guy?
Right. It's very possible. I want to see, I mentioned T. Higgins, right? I want to see what T. Higgins ran in the combine. Let's go see what T. Higgins results are and compare them. See if they're anywhere close to each other. So Keon Coleman is 6'3", 213. T. Higgins is 6'4", 216. So they're right there. They're right there. T. Higgins has 34-inch arms. His arms are only 32. So T. Higgins got 2-inch longer arms. Makes him a little bit better at the jump ball. 9-inch hands. Keon Coleman's hands are bigger. So his hands are bigger, his arms are shorter. Okay. He ran a 4.6.
So they're they have the same wingspan. Like,
yeah. Pretty close. T. Higgins did not run at the combine. So I don't have his 40 time. Did you know T. Higgins' athleticism score was, oh yeah, he was at the combine. He was the 51st ranked wide receiver at the combine in athleticism score.
That's wild.
That is freaking wild,
hey,
dude.
Brandon Chester making another good point here. Puka last year ran a 4.57. I mean, it's not all about that 40 time, man. It's just really not.
So, okay, at his pro day, his 40-yard dash, T. Higgins was 4.59. So that's right there with him at 4.6.
Yep. Bill Major says, could the Kingdom trade Sky Moore for a 6th-round pick? I bet they could. But would you want to do that, Mike? Would you want to trade your 2nd-round pick that you're not sure about yet because he's not produced?
Right. I'm not 100% ready to give up on Sky Moore just from the fact that he was a small school guy that is still not being used properly in our offense.
Right.
We have not used him the way he's not even being used the way that they were supposed to use him when they said when we drafted him, we're going to get him the ball in space. Can't wait.
He did like twice ever.
And he looked good when they did.
Yeah. So here's my thing. If you decided that you were done with Sky Moore and you wanted to get compensation for him, would you be happy with a 6th-round pick for him? And
no.
like, obviously his play the last 2 years makes you think 6th-round pick. Okay. But like the potential the kid had and the ceiling he has, I think exceeds a 6th-round pick.
You got to you got to let Sky try one more year. Look,
I think
3
you have
years.
To.
Look, if you can't give a guy 3
years,
off
his ass a little bit and let him
but
breathe.
Look, are we really that crazy as a society that we can't give a guy from Central Michigan 3 years to develop and we're ready to like?
It wasn't like we took him 1st overall pick or something.
Well, I'm just saying 3 years. Like, are we really that crazy that we can't give a guy 3 years just to be fair and assess somebody properly? It's strange. Like 3 years, you're going to give up on him. You're just going to give up on him after him.
People want what they want, and they want it now, Mike.
I get it. It's a win now league, but 2 years. If that's the case, everybody's going to run Felix out.
It's funny though because
5 games next year.
I always thought Sky Moore could do something. I really didn't. I wasn't big on the pick, Mike. You know that. I was like, why are we?
You wanted George Pickens.
Why are we taking Sky Moore here? And George Pickens. We could have had George Pickens, but
we
traded back into Sky Moore. Right with who? With
AD Mitchell.
No, but that was my thing. But then after we did take him, I was like, well, I think they can use him. And we knew how we had an idea of how they could use him, how he could be effective, and they never tried it. They never did it. So it's like, I'm willing to give Sky one more year and see if he can produce. If he can't in his 3rd year, then I'm with everybody else. Like, done.
I want to know, and I'm telling you right now, everybody hates Sky Moore.
They do. That's what I'm saying.
If the Chiefs bring him back this year, and Sky Moore starts to turn it on, and by week 3 or 4, I want to see how many of these people keep that same energy.
They're not. They're going to gaslight the hell out of you. I never said that about Sky Moore.
And then my point is why, like at that point, are you rooting against the poor guy? Like he still puts a Chief jersey on at the end of the day, and we're just out here just crushing him. It's like insane. We don't want to see him succeed anymore. Like we're just over it.
It's like once our fan base gets like the popular opinion starts to be, we hate this guy, they run him into the ground.
Yeah, he's done.
But then when you talk about somebody
have a bad year this year.
When you call someone that deserves it, like MVS, everybody's like, that's unnecessary. That's our player.
It's
Like,
weird.
what are we talking about?
Well, MVS had one good game in the playoffs. Steve.
And like, I would be willing to call Sky Moore somewhat of a bust if he can't get it together after 3 or 4 years. But you're taking a guy in the 2nd round who, by all means, was probably a 3rd-round pick.
Steve, put a poll up. I want to know right now. We got 248 in here. Should Sky Moore get a 3rd season with the Chiefs?
Okay.
Should Sky Moore receive a 3rd season with the Chiefs? That's all the poll. Yes or no? I'm very curious, and I think it's going to be closer than we think. I think it's going to be right around 50-50. But I bet you more people say no than yeah. I'd almost guarantee it. Unless they're going to talk a big game and then click the wrong button.
Well, I think the thing about it is like it's a win now league. Like you said, they want like instant production from these guys. But like I was just making the point, it's kind of similar to Clyde. Like Clyde, everybody considered him a massive bust, but it's like, was it Clyde's fault that they decided to take a 3rd rounder at the end of the 1st round?
Right.
Like Okay,
And
like
Clyde
so
had a
just
pretty good year
because
this year, right? He wasn't
Right.
horrible for what he got paid.
Clyde is as good as what we thought he was going to be when he was drafted. Let's be
that's
honest
true.
here. But that's exactly what Clyde was. Sky Moore's the same way. Like I said, I was like, why are we taking this guy over George Pickens? Like we could have had George Pickens, but we traded back and took Sky Moore. So it was similar to taking McCole Hardman over DK Metcalf to me, because it was like, I understand that Pickens was off the board, but we could have had him. We traded back. So it's like, I don't know. I just think Sky Moore was more of a third round pick. A lot of people have him in the first.
Flapjack with a 2. He says, hell no to Sky. He doesn't. People just don't want Sky Moore. They don't. I don't get it. Like, do you guys just think Sky's a complete? Like, do we think all of his measurables and everything were just a complete miss?
Well,
because again, let me read Sky really quick. 5'10", 195. This is what he did in the combine. 31-inch arms, 10.25. 10 1/4 hands, the biggest hands that Brett Veach has ever drafted. His hands are bigger than Rashee Rice, by the way. A 4.4 140, a 1.46 10-yard split. That is the fastest 10-yard split. That's even faster than McCole Hardman. Right. A 35-inch vert and a 10.5-inch broad jump. And the fact that he made more people in college miss after the fact. You know what I'm saying? He had more forced missed tackles. Yep. He had tons of yak yardage. But again, he comes out of where? Central Michigan or Western Michigan. He comes out of Western Michigan, and he jumped straight to a Super Bowl contender. And we just thought he was going to come in seamlessly and not have any hiccups. To me, it's weird. It's weird to think that this guy was just supposed to come in and light the world on fire.
Here's what I think's weird. Like, what has Sky Moore done to make you think that he sucks so bad that you need to get rid of him? I understand that he hasn't produced the way that you expected him to. But, like, it's not like he's terrible. Like, the guy's not out there. Like, first of all,
what was the worst play he had all year? That drop pass in the end zone?
They would say, oh, he dropped this pass or he dropped that pass. 9 out of 10 throws to Sky Moore that were considered drops were not even considered drops, guys. Like, they were bad passes from Mahomes. And, yeah, that alludes me to something else. Like, why don't they have the chemistry? That's a conversation you can have. Like,
that's a very good conversation.
Why is Patrick Mahomes so bad at throwing the ball to Sky Moore? Sky Moore not where he's supposed to be? Like, what's off there? I don't understand it. But we also know that Sky Moore had more separation than anybody else on the team, on average.
Yeah.
So
there was some.
I feel like with Sky Moore, there's like something little that could change and instantly click. Like, to me, so that's why I don't want to give up on him yet, because I feel like if you're telling me this guy's got more average separation than any other receiver on the team, and if you look at his drops or the plays that didn't work out to him, and Patrick Mahomes is missing him at a bigger rate than anybody else on the team,
it's a monumental type stat.
Like, how do we fix it? Because I feel like it could be fixed, and all of a sudden this could be a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that he could definitely be whatever. I'm not trying to say that, but I feel like there's something small here that could be worked out. And I don't think you throw away a second-round pick with all that talent when I feel like it could be close. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I want to get your stat because you brought that up, and that's a very good one. Let me find it because I've got an elite place.
You keep on going while I say this, guys. We're going on 2 hours and 12 minutes here. We're going to hit at least 2.5 hours before we get off of here. Show us some love. Show us some love. Support the channel. I don't care if it's through liking the video, super chats, give out some memberships, help grow the memberships. Do something. Show us some love. 2.5 hours of our time after we've been working all day. That would be well appreciated by you guys. And we appreciate you guys for being here and hanging with us for 2.5 hours, by the way. Big shout out to you guys. You can also show support to the channel at merch.allchiefedup.com. You can get some merchandise and you're still supporting the channel that way. So there's ways to do it. And I know that you guys will, and I appreciate it. But yeah, Mike, what do you got? Because I think that's a significant thing to look at. Like, Sky Moore did have more separation.
Okay. This is it. People say this. Okay. People say Sky can't run routes. He can't be targeted. His target separation, which means how close was the defender to Sky Moore? Steve, any guesses?
1.5 yards.
2.1 yards.
That's ridiculous. So you're telling me there's
in the NFL?
Telling me there's 6 feet between
6 feet, and in the NFL, he was the number 11th wide receiver in all the NFL creating separation. Now, wait a second. To go into what you just said about Patrick Mahomes throwing bad balls to him, and 25 targets. 25 targets. His catchable target rate, according to the statistics, 65.8%. So 2 out of every 3 balls were decent. 1 out of every 3 balls were completely uncatchable.
Right. And now,
do you think Patrick Mahomes throws 1 out of every 3 balls bad to a guy, and you're like, what?
That's weird. There's something off there, right? Like there's got to be something little to alleviate some of that. But while you're on this, how many drops? Like everyone keeps saying, well, he drops everything. It doesn't matter if he's open, he can't catch the ball. First of all, Sky Moore had the lowest drop rate in all of the NCAA his senior year.
Right.
So we know he's not a drop guy. But how many drops has Sky Moore had in his 2 years with the Chiefs? I would be interested to know that.
Let me bring it up. Now, for last year, this website that I'm looking at said that he only dropped 1 ball. PFF says he only dropped 1 ball. He dropped 1 ball last year.
So we're going to get back to how ridiculous that is, that people have this misconception. After we talk about Brenda Pike being a freaking legend with the 5 gifted membership.
Yes, Brenda.
Appreciate you, Brenda. Thanks for the support. You're awesome, and you're always here, and that's what matters. Yeah, so let's think about that. So we have this weird misconception. We got people out there. I'm not going to call out any names in the chat or anything, but Sky Moore can't catch the ball. He drops everything. He had 1 drop last season.
He was credited with 1 drop. That was against Denver. Denver, week 8 was his only drop.
Okay, now let's do this. Let's take it one further. How many drops?
Do you know how many he dropped last year?
How many?
1. He's had 2 drops his entire career.
2 drops his entire career, and now we've started to say that he can't catch the ball. Okay, so 2 drops his entire career.
Kadarius Toney had more drops in a single game.
Let's do a fun exercise here. Who's our most reliable target on our team? Travis Kelce. How many drops has he had in the last 2 years?
He had over 11 this season. I know. Off the top of my
guys,
head.
can we stop the narrative that Sky Moore can't catch the ball?
Well, I mean,
I understand the target. I understand the target differentiation, but at the same time, seriously.
Well, Sky Moore got 36 targets and he dropped 1. So if you drop 1 out of 36, so you're presumably say out of 100 balls, he would drop 3 balls.
It's a 3% drop rate.
A 3% drop rate.
What we got for Kels?
Kelsey's drop rate. Let me just go to Kelsey. Let's just go to Kelsey.
Yeah. That's what I want to know. Just an experiment. Kelsey got 117 targets, and he dropped. He only dropped 6 this year. They've actually corrected it. He is at 6. So out of 117 and 6, that is a pretty similar.
Let me see. I'll get it right here in a second.
So Kelsey's drop rate is a little bit less because of more targets.
5% drop rate.
So, and what we say for? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you do the math on the 3 or the 1 out of 36?
I will. Give me a second. 1 out of 36 is a 3% drop rate. It's about we'll say 4%. Exactly. So yeah, Kelsey's at 5%.
I understand that's not a perfect science, but that just goes to show you that narrative's kind of lame. Elgin Thrower with the 5 bombs says big love. Big love back to you, Elgin. Appreciate all your support lately, man. You've been awesome. And then we got, is it Nevis or Nevis Warren here? You'll have to correct me. I'm going to go with Nevis. It's probably Nevis. 10 bomb, super sticker. Appreciate that. The support's amazing. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, man, that's not like I said, the science is not, it's not 100% there, but I mean, that's just something to think about. Like, is it all Sky Moore's fault that he hasn't worked out yet? We've talked about how they haven't used him the way we thought they should.
Look, 21 receptions is what he had this season. He's out of the top 100 receivers. So he don't even get enough targets to even be in the top 100 wide receivers. Do you realize there's 32 NFL teams? And if you put 3 receivers deep on every team, they're 1, 2 in their slot. He don't even finish. He finishes worse. That means there's certain receivers that have their wide receiver 4s getting more targets than Sky Moore.
Right. And Omar, like he said, like perfect.
Weird.
He's out of position. He's not in his position.
He's not playing the slot where he needs to be playing. He needs to be playing every snap in the slot.
Yeah. Lewis says that he can't run routes. Sky Moore was one of the best route runners coming out of college. Like, has it been hard for him to adapt to maybe Andy Reid's playbook? That's a possibility.
I'm going to just say this. How are you number 11 in the NFL? And how are you gaining 2.1 yards per separation if you can't run a route?
Yeah, there's that. But then
against a corner,
Lewis always has to take
corner?
Lewis always has to take it a step further. He said, "Stop sniffing his jock," saying he'll be the next Jerry Rice. Not by any means are we saying that
Not
Sky
a
Moore could
single
be.
person said that.
I'm not even saying Sky Moore could be the best receiver on the team, but I think Sky Moore is a lot better than what people are giving him credit for. Has he shown it yet? No, we can say that. Like Sky Moore hasn't shown what he can do yet, but has he been in position to do it?
If Sky Moore were just given, hey, you don't have to rotate with 6-7 receivers. You are the slot guy. You will play 60 snaps a game in the slot. Is Sky Moore good enough to play slot in Kansas City and win a Super Bowl? I believe he could get there. Like, I don't think he's as bad as everybody thinks he is. I think there's a misconception going on that he drops too much. 2 drops his whole career. That he don't get open. He can't run routes. 2 yards per separation. You're told that if you're a quarterback and you've got a step on a receiver, you got to be able to put the ball in and complete it. 2 yards, that's 6 feet, bro. That's the length of me, head to toe.
That's wild.
What are you talking
Well,
about?
here's my
Mahomes
thing.
can't complete a ball to him.
One thing on the Sky Moore debacle, and we'll quit talking
Incredible.
about that. But one thing I would like to point out is before Rashee Rice was part of the team, Andy Reid was fully confident that Sky Moore was going to take over the role of Juju Smith-Schuster and flourish at it. And then in comes Rashee Rice, who is pound for pound, I think, a better receiver than Sky Moore, right? So it kind of put a back seat to him. He had to take a back seat to Rashee Rice. So if Andy thought Sky sucked as bad as some of the people in our chat do, why was he so confident Sky Moore was going to just seamlessly get into the Juju Smith-Schuster role?
Because we're smarter than Andy Reid, Steve.
I'm just saying, I think Duncan says there's no real reason to keep Sky around. There's a big reason to keep Sky around. High ceiling,
cheap
rookie contract. Like, there's no reason to cut him. Zero.
Right.
Like,
there's a way bigger reason to cut Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, right. So even Kadarius Toney, even those guys, like, what are you cutting them for? An extra slot on the roster? Because, I mean, by all means, I don't think they're going to take 7 receivers again.
No, this year they're going back to 6.
Right. If they go to 6, which 6 is more than Andy normally takes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go to 5 this year.
If you cut Sky, what are you doing? You're opening up a spot for what? For who? Cornell Powell? Like, what are we talking about?
Let's just say the Chiefs pick up a random receiver in free agency. I don't know if it's going to be Mike Evans. It could be Curtis Samuel. It may be, I don't know. But let's just say they pick up one. Okay, Rashee Rice is coming back. Okay, let's say they go ahead and cut Kadarius Toney. Who else are they going to put on the who else you going?
I said that wrong. I'm sorry. Whoever made that comment, I had it backwards.
Right.
There's no reason to cut him. 100%.
Right. So I'm just saying, though, who would you bring back? It's very possible Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore's still back on this team next year.
Yeah, Duncan. My bad, man. I read that wrong.
Yeah, sorry, Duncan.
But so you're making the same point we are. There's just no reason to cut the guy. It's crazy to think that. Yeah.
So anyways, we draft one. So you draft one, you got Rashee Rice, you pick one up in free agency, that's 3. Let's say you keep Justin. Are we keeping Justin Ross around? Like, why does Justin Ross get a pass over Sky Moore?
Right, that's another one. Like Justin Ross, everybody
that's a guy
thought
that's been here for 3 years.
Everyone thought Justin Ross was going to be our ex receiver. He was just going to come and take the league by storm.
People were saying he was a Pro Bowler before the season started. Like,
yeah. Well, off the Sky Moore talk.
Yeah,
I guess the story of the day here, guys, has been the NFL Combine. The guys running today, skilled positions. Some of the guys that shined today, Xavier Worthy set the record 4.2140. That's somebody the Chiefs had already had interest in. They've met with him. A lot of guys had linked them to the Chiefs just off of their knowledge and what they think the Chiefs like. So, I mean, that's something to keep an eye on. And he's a special teams guy. I think he can do some kick return ability. There's different things he can do. So that's one to keep an eye on. I think another guy that popped off the page today at a different position was the running back from Louisville.
I was gonna ask you that before we go. Who's a couple, 3, 5 guys that you can name that you think helped themselves this week? Like in the Combine. Who do you think? Name a few guys that you think helped themselves.
Braden Fisk at the defensive tackle.
Okay, I agree with that one.
I think Tavondre Sweat helped himself at the Combine. I think if we go receivers, I'm going to go with Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, both of those guys. Running backs, I'm going with, is it Garindo? Is that how he says his name?
Yeah.
The guy from Louisville. I mean, dude, if you're 220, 6'2" or 6 feet, he's a big guy, and he's running a 4.3 40. That's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty. So, I mean, those guys would probably be the ones that stick out the most to me. The tight ends, I guess you'd go with Theo Johnson.
Yes, he had a good one.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. We got a 2-bomb here from P. Swizzle, 23. So Sky Moore is undersized and slow for a slot. Sky Moore is not slow. And how do you undersize for a slot? That P. Swizzle. What are we talking about here? Appreciate the 2 though. Thanks for the support.
Sky Moore is by all means the exact size of a slot receiver.
5'11". That's actually,
he's 5'11", 195. So McCole Hardman's 5'10", 187. So how undersized is he?
Right. Not to mention, I mean, they were comparing Sky Moore in small space quickness to Tyreek Hill. Like, the guy's not slow.
Sky Moore run a 4.4 140 and his 10-yard split's a 1.46. That's the fastest that's ever been drafted by a wide receiver in the Brett Veach era. That's the fastest 10-yard split.
So maybe a couple misconceptions there, P. Swizzle, but appreciate the 2.
No, I appreciate it. But that's Sky Moore in a nutshell. He is the most misconceived wide receiver, I think, in the league.
Yeah.
I don't think another fan base has a player like Sky Moore that just gets completely trashed for the craziest reasons, too.
Right. Mike, Gary Hollins wanting to know if Garindo's a decent receiving back.
I think he can catch the ball. He wasn't asked to do it a heck of a lot, like for real. I just don't. It wasn't something that U of L did ask him to do, but I don't think he's got a problem catching the ball. I really don't. He's got 9-inch hands, by the way, so he should be able to do it. Like, I think he's fine. I think he can catch out of the backfield, and another thing he can do, by the way, he can block.
Yeah.
That kid can block. He can protect a QB. He's a 3-down back that, by the way, run a 4.3 and he weighs 221 pounds.
Any type of freak athlete like that, the Chiefs are going to have their eyes on him a bit. So he's definitely in the conversation. Chief Kelsey said Sky will have 550 plus yards next year, calling it now. That's the type of confidence I think that Sky Moore needs from Chiefs Kingdom. I think he needs less people dogging him out for maybe not having an opportunity yet I think he can actually do something. Right. I think if they could figure out how to use him. I mean, if you go to the first half of the season, Mike, and you don't look at the last half of the rookie season for Rashee Rice, I feel like people would be saying the same things about him. But guess what? Andy Reid figured out how to use him correctly.
There's games that Rashee Rice didn't look great in.
Right. I mean, it took him a minute to get going, for sure.
Right. Steve, I'm going to name some of my combine winners. How about that?
Go for it. I was going to ask you anyway, yeah.
I think Isaac Garindo was definitely a combine winner. I think he helped himself a lot. Theo Johnson, the tight end from Penn State. I mean, he scored the highest RAS score ever been recorded. 1,800 tight ends to be ranked in this. Isn't that incredible? And he scored the highest. It was almost a perfect RAS score. It's insane. I think Ricky Pearsall from Florida, I think helped himself.
Yeah.
Like straight up. He had a 42-inch vertical. Ricky Pearsall, a 42-inch vertical, and ran the 40-yard dash in a 4.41. I mean, come on. That's just flat out. With a guy like Ricky Pearsall, and I'm telling you, I cannot talk about this guy enough. He loves football. If you ask him something, like a question about, hey, what's your favorite route to run in the route tree? He'll rattle off 45 minutes of crap. Like, he loves the game, and that's something you can't instill that into people. You love it or you don't. But I think A.D. Mitchell helped himself today running that 4.34. I really do. I think Brian Thomas solidified himself as a mid-first round pick at a 4.33. And I think Quinyon Mitchell solidified himself as maybe the top corner. I think it's going to be between him and Nate Wiggins. Now, the one person that kind of maybe fell off a little bit was the other corner that come out. He didn't run as fast as everybody thought he was going to run. The kid from, I'm having a hard time thinking of his name. The kid from, what is his name? Give me 1 second. Terrion Arnold from Alabama.
Okay, get it together.
Terrion Arnold is got all the intangibles to be a good corner, but he ran a 4.5. And it's like, that's not horrible, but I think he allowed corners such as, Nate Wiggins and Quinyon Mitchell that were right there with him at the 1, 2, 3. I think he allowed them to maybe close the gap a little bit. And then, of course, I think Tez Walker out of North Carolina, I think his straight line speed at 4.36 helps him a little bit. He's got to get those hands together. And then if you want to go to just other positions, again, I think you're right. Braden Fisk done a good job. I think Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas, he made himself some money. I think Jatavion Sanders kind of hurt himself a little bit. Are you in that?
Yeah.
Are you in that bandwagon a little bit?
Yeah, he's a little undersized. I think like he's shorter than we thought.
The third slowest time.
Yeah,
of all tight ends
for sure. Absolutely. Just real quick, Brenda Pike back on the Sky Moore thing. She said, I think many are angry about the muffed punt returns. Just a thought. 100%, Brenda. I think people are confusing the muffed punts with the he can't catch the football. By all means, Sky Moore had never returned punts, and Dave Tobe decided that was a good idea.
And Dave Tobe just kept going with it.
That was not on Sky Moore. That was a terrible coaching decision. But I like Dave Tobe, but that was trash that year.
Didn't Sky Moore, though, in one of the games, actually have a big punt return helped us win the game? Was it in the Super Bowl?
No, that was Kadarius Toney, but Sky Moore did have a big one.
Where was it, though? It was in a big game, though. Was it like the AFC Championship game against the Bengals?
It was the Buffalo game. It was a 13-second game, maybe. It was a kick return. Or no, it might have been a punt. I believe it was in the Buffalo game. Somebody correct us in the chat, but I think it was in the Buffalo game.
Somebody will remember.
But KC fan says, I don't like the defending crap. Sky Moore as a receiver is crap. Sorry. I'd just be interested to know you guys that think Sky Moore don't have the potential. Like, why is he bad? Like, what's he bad at? Do you even know what he's bad at?
Steve, they're going to tell you. He can't catch the ball and he can't run routes.
But we've already proved him wrong on that. So what is it that makes him so bad? Like, that's all I want to know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay if you think that. Like, you're allowed to have that opinion. We're not dogging you. But I'm just interested to know from that point of view because I'm having a hard time understanding it. Like, I don't get the hate. Like, to me, I'm like, what is it that makes you think he's so bad? Just because he hasn't produced yet? Like, that has to be it, right?
Right. Do you think Xavier Worthy, after posting a 4.21, do you think he now turns into the out of nowhere flying up the boards, kind of like Zay Flowers did last year? You think he becomes last year's Zay Flowers?
I think it very well could be. I think the league values speed so much. I mean, you saw John Ross fly way up the board and get taken way early by the Bengals because they thought, hey, we got a fast guy here. Well, we got a Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill broke the brains of a lot of fans and NFL scouts.
Right.
Like, honestly.
Chief Kelsey says it was the AFC Championship game of the Bengals. That's what I thought.
Okay.
The goo, you're just not listening, man. Sky Moore is incapable of creating separation. You did not listen when we said that he is the 11th in all the NFL in creating separation. He
had a total of over 2 yards.
6 feet of separation.
That's wild, man.
You guys have got to clean the ears, clean them out, and just listen.
Yeah, I think it's a thing. It just goes to show you, like, and I'm not saying that we don't do this sometimes. I'm probably guilty of it as well. But sometimes you just have to take the preconceived notions you have about a player out of your head, look at the facts, and then assess. Like, I understand, like, if you don't like him, you don't like him. If you don't think he's going to be good, if you don't have faith that he'll be good, that's 100% fine with me. But to make up fake things about him and not using facts like he has 6 feet of separation, I feel like that's just being lazy. It's a lazy evaluation, and it's not fair to him.
Right. Well, here's what I'll say. I don't really care about Sky Moore and talking about
him. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal, to be honest. But
that's not
just
the point. The point of this was to celebrate 25K, Steve.
It was a conversation that needed to be had, though, I think.
It was to celebrate 25K, and it was to talk about winners and losers of the combine.
Baby.
And, dude, is Xavier Worthy, by him doing a 4.2 140, is he the overall combine winner? Is he now the big name of the whole combine? I think so. Now that he broke that record,
like a darling guy,
right? Is he going to be just the one everybody remembers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's exactly what it's going to be, right? Everybody's been talking about Chris Johnson's 40 time for the longest. They've been talking about John Ross's 40 time for the longest. You don't forget those type of things. Xavier Worthy is going to be talked about for years to come, just because he had a fast 40 time in the combine. So yeah, 2 things here. I think that he's going to be the darling guy out of the combine. And he's also going to gain the most from it in draft position. I do think he'll fly up the board higher than he should be because of that.
Okay, well, we don't want to get into who our big board is, but Does that change Xavier Worthy for you? Like, does he now creep into, say, your top 5 wide? Was he in your top 5 wide receivers, or will he get in now?
I don't know. I didn't rank him out yet. I've just been watching the tape.
Well, we know
and
nobody's getting into that top 3. Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, and Rome Odunze
I'm
is 1, 2, 3.
thinking Xavier Worthy to me was a mid to late second round wide receiver. That's where I had him.
So does he come up now?
To me, no, it does. It's not that big of a deal, but I think he could come in my head. If I move him up, I'm taking him to early second round. But I do think the way that people value speed in the NFL now, he could hit the end of the first round.
I'm with you. I think I still put him somewhere around the 32 to 38 mark. And I think that he could actually be drafted as high as like 15 now. You could have a guy right there in the middle of the first round that think they need that, and they could value that.
Right.
Just the same way that Zay Flowers shot up the boards.
And Zay turned out to be a good pick if he could, keep his head on straight. He's going to be another one of those guys that can't stay out of trouble.
I want to bring this up. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Fawads. Sneed in a pick to the Rams for pick 19. Good trade. That'd be a heck of a trade. I heard that the Rams were very much looking into drafting a corner. It was even talks of Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Right. I don't think Cooper DeJean now is one of the top 3 corners. I really do believe Nate Wiggins may have that lock on, maybe even Terry and Arnold. And then again, you've got the kid from Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell. So, yeah, there's all that talk there. But, dude, to trade, the Rams could say Sneed for pick 19. Now, I would be very much into that. I think you may have to give up something with Sneed to get a pick 19. Would you not? Maybe like a late comp pick, or
you're definitely going to have to trade something to get to pick 19 with Sneed.
But do you take it? Would you take that? Would you give up, say, Sneed in the, a 5th round this year or something for him? Like, I know that's wasting more draft capital, but it does get you another first-round pick.
I'd do it.
I think you have to take anything with Sneed in the first round. But
if it's got first round on it, even if you got to give it something else with it, I think you do it, because I think Sneed's worth the second-round pick, tops. So, I mean, if you can get to the first round.
I like it, Faye Woods. It says next year's pick, maybe a 5th next year.
I'm good with that.
Like
totally good with that.
I think I'd be fine with it, and I think that's cool. You would have a pick 19 and pick 32. Presumably, you could just set at pick 19 and get probably a top 5 wide receiver.
Chiefs fan says, do you just give Sneed and trade first-round picks? I don't know if I would do that.
So
I feel like outright getting a second-round pick for Sneed would be better than trading.
So basically, you're saying that we would go from 32 to 19 and just lose Sneed for it.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea, Chiefs fan.
It's not horrible if you could guarantee yourself a big old fat left tackle.
If you get Joe Alt,
that would be nice. If you could pull off that, but he ain't falling that low, baby.
Right. So it's not a bad thought, Chiefs fan, but I feel like you might be better off just keeping that pick and getting a second-round pick. I don't know. It's up for debate. We got a 2-bomb from Bill. He says Worthy did run the route drills today, or why Worthy did? Yeah, so he did. Mike, what do you think about Worthy as a route runner?
He's not the best route runner I've ever seen. He's not. I think. I don't think he gets off the press very well. I mean, think about it. He's thin. He's like 180. What is he? He's 165, guys.
Little guy. He's a little guy.
If you put your hands on him, he's not getting off. Like, he's just not going to get off. His quickness getting off the ball isn't as great as you would think. I get it. You're laughing about getting off.
After you put your hands on him, you don't think you got that? You didn't get that magical touch there, Mike?
I'm sorry, but still, he don't have great hand strength when it comes to contested catches. So if you get him in traffic, he's not going to be great. If he's not getting the ball, he gets really lazy in some of his routes.
Right.
He really does. He'll take plays off here and there.
This goes along with what you're talking about, so I'm not trying to cut you off, but a lot of people right below Bill Major's comment were asking, does he have a drop problem? Can he catch? He
dropped a lot of passes in 2022. He was dropping balls, and you were like, why is he dropping balls? And a lot of people said he had a big-time drop problem.
Puberty.
But look, Steve Sarkisian, their head coach, revealed after the season he was playing through a broken hand. He had broken his hand, and they don't have to in college football. They don't have to come out and tell you why you're injured. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to say why you have injuries. So they hit it. Come to find out he was playing through a broken hand. That's why he was dropping balls. But look, if I'm not mistaken, Lance Zierlein, who does all the NFL stuff, you know who he had him comp to? I think he was the guy. He comped him to Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, I could
So
see
just
it.
go pick Darnell Mooney off the free agency, and let's not trade any more draft capital to go trade up in the top 25.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's what I see Xavier Worthy being, even at his top. I feel like he's going to be one of those type guys. I mean,
he's got quick strike potential.
Yeah.
The dude's fast. He can stretch the field. That's going to be very, very sought after. But again, he's 5'11", 165. There are sixth graders bigger than he is.
With a guy that small, Mike, he's going to have to be emotional a lot, right? I mean, if he's not, he's going to get beat off the line, right? Like you're going to have a L'Jarius Sneed type just.
Dude, if you have a L'Jarius Sneed type
shove
on
him into the ground,
he can get his
done.
hands on him, he's going to be beat up.
Right. Yep. Brandon says he's super thin. You have to motion him for his release.
Yeah, you've got to, dude. You know where he'd be dangerous?
Where?
Miami.
Well, they were talking about. Actually,
Could you
I had a friend
imagine him
text
on the
me and
field
said
with
Miami's
Waddle
talking
and
about
Tyreek
drafting.
Hill?
I understand, but how many fast guys can you get on the team and think that's going to do you any good when you have a quarterback that's just
right? But you never think about it. You can either rotate them, and defenses never get a rest, or you just start putting them going crazy in motion. It could be nasty.
They also have Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert.
I'm going to be honest.
The fastest guys. Do they go all in on the speed?
Flowers last year, Zay Flowers was a much better prospect in my eyes. I thought Zay Flowers was a first-round wide receiver talent. I do not think Xavier Worthy's a wide receiver first-round talent. I think he's top to mid-second round, and now that he
might have got himself into the first round.
He may be touching the edge of the first.
Yeah.
And he may come into the top 15 if somebody gets horned up about it. But technically, for me, I don't love it. Like, he's serviceable, but I don't break the bank to get Xavier Worthy. I'm not trading up into the top 20 to get him.
Right. And Bawana go Ariaku says, you're not going to replace Sneed with a first. Probably not. But you don't have to. We don't need another cornerback. That's the thing about it. I think that's what people forget about with Sneed is we don't need to replace him. Like we already have McDuffie, we already have Josh Williams, Jalen Watson. We don't need to replace him. We need to develop the guys we got.
Honestly, you may have as replacement on the roster right now, and everybody's forgetting.
Jamari Connor.
Yeah,
you think they put him down
very well.
Did they take him down the corner and use him there?
He could. He was drafted at that premise again.
Right.
Jarius Sneed come out of Tulane as a safety.
I'm just saying you don't have to replace Sneed.
No,
you don't have to. Once again, which takes us back to the Chris Jones thing. If you let Chris Jones walk instead, you have to replace Chris Jones.
Faye Woods comes back and says the Chiefs get a top 20 Tyler Guyton. I wouldn't be surprised. Steve picked Tyler Guyton, and people were giving him hell about it because people didn't understand that Tyler Guyton could play left tackle. He very well could play left tackle.
I thought I did my mock draft. You guys didn't get to watch it. It's a video on here. It has Malachi Corley on the cover because I took him in the second round. But if you guys haven't got a chance to go watch it, I thought that was a pretty solid draft. If I could change anything in that draft, what I've learned over the last few days, I'd probably take Theo Johnson ahead of Ben Sinnott.
Yeah,
that might be the only thing I would do different.
Right. 31 Redball says, what receiver could you get at pick 19, Steve? You're not getting the top three.
You can get Adonai Mitchell, probably. That'd be a good pick there.
You get A.D. Mitchell at 19. You'd probably get your crack at Xavier Worthy 19. My favorite out of the group would be Brian Thomas Jr. He's a little unpolished.
Yeah.
17 touchdowns. Come on. You throw that ball up anywhere, and he's going to get it. That's a big boy. He's a big boy. That'd be the one I'd be looking at number 19.
I feel like he's the closest prospect that, and I'm not just saying this because of LSU, but I feel like if you're trying to find a home run guy that could potentially be something like Justin Jefferson.
He looks like Justin Jefferson.
You go with him.
He wears number 11, though, so he reminds me of MVS.
Yeah. MVS probably couldn't sniff this guy's jock, and he hasn't even started yet.
Man.
That was mean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Marquez.
I'm still just a Ricky Pearsall guy in the second round. If you could trade up and get Ricky in the second round, I think that's a win.
Wiki Pearsall?
Are you okay? Look, if you're picking at 32, Steve, if you're picking at 32 and your draft board comes down to this, Keon Coleman's still there because he slid.
Mm-hmm.
Ladd McConkey's on the board.
I like Ladd.
And Xavier Worthy's on the board. Where are you going?
Oof. That's tough.
You said wolf. That could be there. That could be it.
Oh, but yeah, very well could be.
1,000%. If somebody don't get horned up over Xavier Worthy's 40 time, that may be where he falls.
if I took the guy that I think has the most big play potential, or like just like pops off the tape to me, it's Keon Coleman. But I think from a perspective of what fits with the Chiefs offense, you go with one of the other two. And I know Xavier Worthy just ran a 4.2 140. I get it. But I think I would go with Ladd McConkey.
I like Ladd McConkey. Look, I think Ladd McConkey and Ricky Pearsall are the two best ready to play right now route runners in football.
Ladd's just a plug.
One plays for Georgia, one plays for Florida. Is there any doubt?
Ladd McConkey strikes me as a guy that if you were still in the Belichick-Brady era, they would be drooling over that guy.
They would take him mid-first round.
They would drool over him because he's smart, he's solid, he's fast, he's everything that you need him to be, and he's ready to go now. There is no Sky Moore. Let's hope he's doing okay by year 3. There's no Rashee Rice even like start doing good at the end of the year. But I feel like McConkey could be instant production.
Yeah, I agree. Steve, Gary, our boy Gary. By the way, mods, you guys do an amazing job.
Absolutely, you guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome. He says, would you guys, if you could get 2 first picks for Chris Jones, would you take it?
I think that's I wouldn't want to do that, but I think if you're not going to, if not keeping Chris Jones, sure. Like, I think you already have to have that made up in your head, though. Like, are we not going to go forward with Chris Jones? Okay, yeah, I'm taking the 2 first-round picks. But I think, personally, keeping Chris Jones for another 3 or 4 years in this Super Bowl window, in this dynasty, I think that's more valuable than 2 first-round picks.
Right. I agree. Kelly says, which linebackers in the draft do you guys like? I don't know if Steve's got to dig into linebackers much. Steve, have you got to dig into him?
Not a whole lot. I looked at some of the late round guys because I was thinking the Chiefs might look late for a linebacker just to kind of replenish what they've got to do.
Yeah.
I think his name was McGee from A&M.
Jordan McGee.
I liked him.
And Jordan McGee from Temple. Yeah.
Temple. Yeah, I think I liked him. I think the tape I saw from him was pretty good for that. I think it was good value for the fact that you could get him 6th, 7th round.
Yeah, I think he's maybe played himself up a little higher after this week, Stevie.
Yeah.
6'1", 228. He run a 4.55 with a 1.5 10-yard split, by the way. 36-inch vert, a 10 foot broad jump, and his combine ranking for linebackers was 4th overall in athleticism. So he earned himself some money.
Duncan, he says, my biggest fear is that Bowers falls to the Bengals. I have this, here's the thing. I'm not scared of it per se, but I do hate the idea that someone like the Chargers or the Bengals are going to be able to snag Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
It's just something you don't want to see.
Dude, I think Brock Bowers, though, is such a talent that I think he goes before pick 15. I think you start looking at Brock Bowers somewhere around pick 9, and I think he goes between 9 and 15. So the Bengals don't pick in that range. I think they're a little higher than that, right?
Right. Lewis says, is Ladd McConkey good enough for the Chiefs offense? Judging by last year's wide receiver core, I'm good enough to be a receiver for the Chiefs offense.
Boy, you ain't lying.
So yes, the answer is yes.
Right. Can I talk about a linebacker that I really liked? There was 2. I really thought Edgerrin Cooper from A&M did enough. And Peyton Wilson, who, by the way, had tons and tons. He won the Dick Butkus Award last year at NC State. He played with our boy Isaiah Moore, who the Chiefs got on the practice squad this year. I told you, Steve, Isaiah Moore should have made the team if he wouldn't have hurt himself, right? I was a big Isaiah Moore guy.
Hey, Lewis is going to be the left tackle, by the way.
Oh,
I'm going receiver. Lewis is going left tackle.
Okay. Yeah, but Peyton Wilson, man, I think his injuries are behind him. I like him. He was a wrestler in high school. He's going to be awesome. He ran a 4.43. And then there's a kid out of Washington I thought done a good job for himself this week. Edifwan Ulofoshoyo. I think Ulo Foshio. But good Lord, that's a name and a half. But, yeah, he played for Washington, by the way. He went to the national championship game. And I think he'd done a lot for him. He run a 4.56 40, and his athleticism score was 5th out of all linebackers. I think he made himself some money this week.
Right. Let's see here what we got going on in the chat. We're going to be here for a few more minutes, guys. We're pushing 3 hours here.
Yeah, just a little bit of time.
So definitely appreciate you guys sticking out the long haul with us. It's been a long day, a long, hard working day for me, Mike.
Hey, somebody throw a membership out there for somebody. Let's reward somebody for being here.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Super chats. Welcome. Obviously, we'll get to all of those before we get out of here. And just gifting out memberships is huge to helping the channel grow. So if you guys can help us out with that, that'd be appreciated. Like I said, we're going on 3 hours here. So, I mean, it's been a beast of a live stream. This guy said, Steve, are you going to try out for the team as wide receiver? If I was not 39 years old, Mike, and I was in my peak physical shape and I were to be able to play football, what position would I be? It would not be wide receiver. What do you think? Would it be more of a tight end, or would it be more?
What are you officially listed as your height?
I'm 6'3", 235, 240, somewhere in that range weight. My speed is not. I don't have blazing speed. I'd say at my peak physical condition, I was probably running a 5 to 5.5 second 40. That's when I was running. You know,
right. So you're out of the NFL. Steve's playing in the XFL.
Exactly. So this is where I'm at, guys. So wide receiver.
Steve's holding the clipboard on the sideline.
Yeah, because you have to think about it. What did I play in high school? I was a defensive end. I was defensive end, bro. So with that speed,
did you have the 6'3" height in high school, or did you get that after?
I think I was probably more around the 5'10".
So you had a growth spurt after high school? That's kind of strange.
It was either after or right after, but I also graduated earlier than everybody else. Like I had all my stuff done, and I went ahead and opted to graduate early.
Dude, I'd had that done in high school. I actually had all my credits done halfway through my senior year, and they were like, "Do you want to graduate?" And I was like, "No, I want to take shop and PE all day, bro." Like I didn't do nothing for 6 months. It was incredible.
Yeah, man. Those were the good old days. Yeah, Carth says Steven is 6'2", 40. Yeah, it probably is what it is now. And I'd probably have to stop and get some oxygen afterwards.
Steve, you would have had the slowest. Mask. What was your wait? What did you say you ran probably in your prime? Like a 5? We'll say 5 what? 5'2"?
Sure, that sounds about right.
Where would you have finished today out of all players at a 5'2"? Let's see. You would have finished. We'll say if you were in a 5'2" flat, you tied defensive tackle Miles Murphy, and you only lost to McKinley Jackson, defensive tackle, and Tavondre Sweat, defensive tackle. 5'2" and 5'7".
No, not happening.
So you were running with defensive tackles because they're all defensive tackles.
I would say frame wise too. You're probably looking at like I've got like the frame of Travis Kelce, only I have no muscle.
I don't want to scare anybody.
It's totally different.
But if Steve run a 5'2", you only lost to Darius Robinson, by the way, by half a second. He ran a 4.95, and we're wanting to pick him in the first round.
Because I was saying there's no way I could be an edge rusher.
Right. But look, I know edge rushers don't have to go 40 yards.
But speed helps.
Speed does help. I want to click his Darius Robinson. Let's see what his 10-yard split is. It's got to be like a 1.5? Oh, God.
Who knows? Got a 2-bomb from Del Monte. He says, love, peace, and soul. Appreciate you, Del Monte. Thanks for the support, my man. Yeah. The Goo says, Steve be the guy that pulls the coach back on the sidelines. Pretty much. That's what I would be. I'd be what could I do? I could just go around pissing the team off all week just to get them ready for Sunday. I could let them know about all the bulletin board material.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be good at that. I'm an instigator.
When you actually look at Darius Robinson and you realize that he was a defensive tackle before this season, they just started kicking him out to the edge. So he's kind of like a Chris Jones. He goes up and down. So did you know Darius Robinson, by the way, had a win rate? I want to make sure I get this right, by the way, because I had wrote this down. It was insane. He had a win rate as a defensive tackle as 11%. That was his pass rush win rate, was 11%. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
When they kicked him out to defensive end, he put up a gaudy 16.2% win rate.
Right.
Like, that's insane. Oh, but by the way, Chris Jones come out of the draft, and he had the longest arms we had ever seen at 34.5.
Right.
Darius Robinson's arm length is 34.5, identical, which is crazy. Chris Jones's 10-yard split was a 1.69, and that is big time, like the actual standard. I'm talking like standard is like 1.8. If you want to be a great pass rusher, which is Matabuke, Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, Christian Wilkins, Aaron Donald, they all beat except for Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins had a 1.76. So basically anything under a 1.76 and you're in the elite category, he ran a 1.73 10-yard split. So Darius Robinson may be a freak athlete that Spags would freak out for.
So what did you say Darius Robinson's pass rush win rate was over there on the edge?
On the edge, 16.2.
Can I just point something out to you guys? And I thought this was an amazing stat for a guy that could be there probably third round.
What do you got? What do you got, baby?
The undersized defensive interior player from Ohio State, Michael Hall Jr. First of all,
his pass win rate is pretty high.
18.3%.
That's
from the middle.
Yeah, that's from the interior.
And it's funny because if you look up like his draft, like what they've talked about in the combine and stuff, they're just like, oh, it's so hard to overcome just being undersized in the NFL. It's just so hard to overcome. But then they go on in the next breath to talk about how he completely dominated at the Senior Bowl and like things like that.
Who did? Michael Hall?
Yeah, dominant against the Senior Bowl competition. I mean, just everything they say about him basically is he's undersized.
Isn't it weird he didn't do anything at the combine? Did he elect to go to miss the combine, or did the combine just not invite him?
Did he not do anything there?
He didn't do anything. He didn't show up. I want to find info. Like, is he dealing with a medical, or did he just not get invited? It's Michael Hall Jr., right? He's a junior, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I think they have him. His athleticism score was a 72 that had him 12th in the defensive tackle rankings.
It's estimated.
Total score, they had him at 11th. So, I mean, that's kind of where they have him at. And this was by Lance Zierlein.
Okay.
But basically, he was just saying, like, the dude is he's a little wrecking ball. He's a force.
What is he, 6'3", 2? He looks small.
290.
What, like 290?
He's about my height, but he weighs probably 50 pounds more than me, 55 pounds more than I do.
So he's 6'3", 290. Darius Robinson is 6'5", 296. So he's only 2 inches taller, but the weight's only 6 pounds more. I would think Michael Hall could eat a couple cheeseburgers and lift some weights and take a few protein shakes. He's right there. And at 33.5-inch arms, that's pretty close to 34.
Yeah, I like that pick, dude. I've been eyeballing him about where he's at.
He may be a nice little steal pick somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round.
I've been thinking it. That's where my head's been. So I'm glad that you've joined the club. So now start looking at that. And I like, this is a great thing about talking about draft, because I learn things from Mike. He learns things from me. We can feed off each other. And you guys in the chat, you guys know a lot about some players we don't know about. So just having this discussion, it kind of opens your eyes up to different things. But either way, we're getting off of here in 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, Mike. We've hit the 3-hour mark. We're going to jump off of here. Appreciate you guys. Show us some love. 25,000 subscribers. 25,000. We're going to celebrate that for 4 minutes. All you guys that have donated and gifted out memberships and everything like that tonight, you guys are legends. Throw some legendaries in the chat for all those guys. And let's just take the next 3 minutes, Mike, and soak up just 25,000 subscribers, all the hard work we've put into the channel. Let's take 3 minutes to ourselves.
Dude,
let's do it.
25,000 subs. A lot of people would say, Steve, that's crazy, right? That's a crazy number. Again, we've only been on here for what, 2 years?
Yeah, we're getting ready to hit the 2-year mark at the end of this month.
25K in 2 years. I mean, obviously, that's pretty good. I mean, there are people that have grown faster. I mean, you got to be an anomaly.
You got to be like a Mr. Beast, right?
Honestly, though, I'm very pleased at the 2-year mark. I think it's way.
Oh,
I didn't think starting this, I didn't think we would have a community built. By the way,
that's the main thing. I don't even care about how many subscribers.
No, not about the subscribers. It's the community.
Fact that we have 200 plus people that will come here and hang out and talk football, and everybody's cool. And like, yeah, we have different kinds of people with totally different opinions, and they'll go back and forth in the chat. I mean, example, not calling you guys out, but like Lewis Cutbirth and Chief Kelsey, like you got to love both of them, but they're on totally polar opposite sides of the spectrum. But everybody still gets in the chat and has fun, has a good time, talks football. It doesn't matter how much you know, how long you've been a fan. None of that matters here. We talk football. Everybody can have an opinion, and it's always fun, man. It's always a good time.
Yeah, I agree. Like, to me, I just want we wanted the football discourse. We wanted it to feel like you were just hanging out with your friends at a sports bar talking Chiefs. And we got tired of growing up. And what was it? We would be watching like Sports Center. We grew up in the era where there was no NFL Network.
It's like, man, we're going to watch this 1 hour show to hope that they talk about the Chiefs for 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was to get 20 seconds. And we said, look, we love the Chiefs. We're passionate. We think we got our finger on the pulse pretty well. We do a lot of digging. We've got a little bit of insider hook that can give us certain things. We know a few people this and there. So we think that maybe we could, spout off just a few things maybe for people that enjoy the Chiefs. And little did we know when we started that the Chiefs were going to run a dynasty run. Like, we didn't think that was coming. Like, that's crazy. So it's been bigger than we thought it was going to be. And we appreciate you guys for it, for real.
Absolutely. Appreciate all the kind words in the chat. I see a lot of people talking about how it's a great show. Bill says it's the only place he can sit for 3 hours. But yeah,
I don't know how you did that, Bill. I don't know how I sat here for 3 hours.
My ass is hurting right now. I got to get up and move around.
Dude, for real. I'm about to go outside and work on my 40 time.
Yeah, but definitely we appreciate you guys. Make sure to do us a huge favor and hit that like button on the way out if you haven't. That's the least that we could ask for. Costs nothing. It just takes 2 seconds to hit that like button, and it'll help get us out to more people. Just watching our videos, watching our live streams, hitting the like button, commenting, all of that interaction helps our channel grow. And you guys have been amazing at it so far. And I seriously think that the reason why we're at 25K subs is because the community that we have are freaking awesome. Like, I credit them as much as I credit all the work we've put in. So I mean, it's a community thing, man. It's awesome.
It takes a village, baby.
We got to 25K, not me and Mike, but we as ACU crew got to 25K, and that's awesome,
dude. And I think this is the beginning.
It's the tip of the iceberg, baby.
It's the beginning. I think it gets better, but yeah, man, I am tapped out tonight, and you know what I'm about to do?
Tapped out today, bro.
You know what I'm about to do?
What are you about to do?
I'm about to go watch Combine film.
Yeah.
I never quit, Steve. I never quit.
Look, you know what? I'm actually
crazy.
I'm going to say this right here. All I've done today since the time I woke up was start watching film, start making mental notes, start thinking about what I'm doing. I spent an hour over on the Spoken with Lance and Trevor, jumped straight into recording videos with you. We stopped, went into 8, came back, set up a live stream, and here we've been for 3 hours. That's been my day, guys. It's been insane. So I think I'm going to not do anything else football related for the rest of the night. I'm going to go relax and watch a movie that's nothing to do with football. I'm just going to pick something out and
I'm going to go watch Draft Day with Kevin Costner.
I'm going to decompress. I might watch Spaceman, the new Adam Sandler movie on Netflix.
Wait, he's got a new movie?
I heard it's weird and very strange, but people either love it or hate it.
So it's not funny?
It's a serious role.
Spaceman?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. He's like an astronaut.
I would have never guessed he was an astronaut in a movie called Spaceman.
Something like that. I don't know. Either way, I think I might check that out. Might not. It's a long movie, so I'm probably going to fall asleep. Let's be honest here.
Right. It is what it is. But yeah. Dude, it's been a good one. It's been a fun day. Been a fun one. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button on the way out. If you haven't hit that sub button, what are you waiting for? Families are starving.
And be on the lookout for more content. We're going to be pumping out the content. So,
dude, the draft stuff's coming. Long, strong. We're like Chris Jones in the draft department, baby. We're pumping it out.
It's funny because I just talked about how I'm going to go decompress and not do football, and I just remembered I have some videos to edit that need to go out probably tomorrow.
It never quits, baby.
I kind of want to go cry a little bit, but we appreciate you guys being here with us. Like Mike said, hit that like button on the way out. And you guys are awesome. We enjoy it. And go Chiefs, baby.
Go Chiefs. Appreciate you guys.
There goes a sight from my soul.